How, people. It is I, Chief Breaking Wind. I ask that in these troubled times we live in, that you take a moment to gaze upon this soothing image of my first ever cloud ride, described many moons ago. While we live in an age of division, Chief Breaking Wind offers a chance at peace. My brethren that gather here before the sprawling teepees and rolling hills of the lands that Chief Breaking Wind inhabits, I ask you today that you separate the humor from that which is serious. There will be matters discussed today, both serious and silly. We will begin today with a delve into the silly, and progress much like I did upon this green cloud into the land of more serious discussion. Join me today, Chief Breaking Wind, as we endeavor upon all manner of different topics. I thank you for joining me today. Hey, people. I hope that intro was at least half decent, half serviceable. It is I, the one, the only, and I'm here alongside, let me try to pull it up. Here we go. Alongside my companion, Chief Breaking Wind. And today, we're going to be covering a few different topics. I've been away for a little bit. I've been absent. People have been wondering, Aiden, when are you going to do a show? When's the next stream? What's the next topic? What are we going to do? I've had people giving me suggestions. Hey, Aiden, maybe we should talk about this. Maybe we should talk about that. And I've heeded those suggestions, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get me wrong. But today, I felt like at least starting things off a little bit more focused, you know? So, got a couple of things, like I said, on the silly department. Figured that we would begin with levity, because I'm sorry, but how could you start a stream with that? And then immediately be like, okay, guys, let's get serious, though. Let's get serious. I wanted to start, and I'm sorry, Dustin. I know you're here in the side chat, and you're not going to love it. But I wanted to start with the first ever consistent segment that we had on my show. And that is Trump without Trump. Let's get into it. Because what is more fun than disconnecting and disassociating Trump's weird voice and just really taking a look and examining just how retarded the things that Trump actually has to say really are. So that being said, let's take a look. I love how, you know what, really quick, before I get into the Trump without Trump, just really quick rant, okay, about StreamYard. Hey, StreamYard, before I've added the thing to the stage, right, before I have this up so that, like, I'm able to play it, maybe don't take me over to the other tab, right? Maybe don't take me over to the tab that I'm trying to share, because that tab that I'm trying to share hasn't been put on the screen yet. I don't know, just a suggestion. Just a suggestion. But anyways, let's get into it. Trump without Trump, ladies and gentlemen.
It's Trump without Trump. You won't have to listen to his voice or see his face. This quote is unedited and 100% accurate. This is from the McDonald's Impact Summit on November 17th, 2025. These are the words of the President of the United States of America. Like heroes. They're like American heroes. Who the hell wants to sit? You know, those ships are very big, but they're very small. When you're way up high, going very fast, and he said it was the greatest day of our life. And they told me something that I didn't know. They said that, sir, you know, we waited 22 years for this. Our predecessors and us, we would practice this run for 22 years. I didn't know that for 22 years we had to practice. We'd do it 3 times a year. We would practice this exact run. And then when you cancel it, because they cancel, when they heard that we were coming, we were devastated. I see, I said. To see now, if I were a flyer and they cancel, I'd be extremely happy. Well, we're canceled, so let's forget it. But we were devastated. So I said, this is something you really love, right? Yes, sir. We were so honored. This was the greatest day of our life. I mean, it's really great. We just have incredible people in the sky. It's an amazing story. And they hit. And then they said, skedaddle. The word skedaddle. And that plane went like this. You know, when it drops a bomb, it goes down very steeply because that gives it a better angle. And you know, more speed for the bomb, a very, very heavy bomb. And they go boom. And as soon as those things, the one pilot, the first was it skedaddle. And that thing just turned on its side. And I mean, it's so unbelievable. Donald J. Trump.
Wow. Can we just get a fucking round of applause, please? I'm not going to continue this stream until I see at least 3 separate people clapping in the side chat. I want to see some clapping emojis. Holy shit. What a stream. What a speech, rather. What a speech. What an inspiring address. You know? Until I see those 3 hand clapping emojis in the chat, I'm going to go back and I'm going to allow us to listen to those beautiful words again. Because I just want everybody to be absolutely sure that they heard that correctly. Because I had to do a double take myself listening to this the first time. So I'm going to go back and let's see it. Really? I want to see people clap for your president, though. If I don't see any clapping for the president of the United States, then we're just going to stay here.
Great. We just have... This is something you really love, right? Yes, sir. We were so honored. This was the greatest day of our life. I mean, it's really great. We just have incredible people in the sky. It's an amazing...
Achilles is like, please not again. He's clapping just to get us out of it. He's like, okay, I get it. Please let it stop. This is actually hell. I did not realize that hell was coming to the earth this quickly. I'm just trying to become Rastafari. Hey everybody, it's me, Achilles, man. I'm here to tell you all about how Greece is actually the real Rasta man. What a buffoon. What a buffoon indeed. Big Bad Mama. What a buffoon indeed. And you know, speaking of buffoons, because I like talking about buffoons. You know, they're quite refreshing, buffoons. Because, like I was saying on the other stream, I think it was Cyber Psychosis. Buffoons are a great way of measuring yourself. Because anytime that you doubt yourself and you think that, you know, things aren't going well in your life, maybe I should be doing things differently, you can always use buffoons as a yardstick to compare yourself off of. And what better a yardstick to compare yourself with than Lupin? Am I right? Well, you know what? Once again, I'm going to expect, just like the last stream, views are going to go into nothing. But I'll tell you what, I'm not here to talk about Lupin because I want attention off of it. If I wanted attention based off of talking about Lupin and his dumb ass, I'd be tagging him in these videos and making shorts and making community posts and tagging him in them. Much like, who's the person I can think of that's tagged me? Oh, right. It was Lupin that tagged me recently. And you know, I'll tell you what, I saw it in my notifications, right? The wolf did and tagged you in something. But the moment that I saw it wasn't a short, nope, not interested. Sorry. Because I told you on the previous stream, dude. I told you I wanted a short. I wanted a short talking about whether or not your real character is this buffoon that doesn't know what he's talking about, that doesn't know what he's doing, that always acts aloof all the time about everything. You know, that's what I was looking for, but that's not what you gave me. So why would I be interested in looking into it? So right before I clicked the 3 little dots on the side that banish it to the Shadow Realm forever, I figured, maybe even without seeing this post, maybe without even seeing the thing that he's tagged me in, like directly, I'll be able to make some hay off of it. Isn't that a good test? It's a pretty good test, right? I like to sharpen the metal of my abilities when it comes to roasting these dumbasses. And I think that's a good test. So the thing that he wrote in there before I deleted it for all time was something along the lines of like, beware your enemies or something like that. Like, careful of the enemies you make. And I got a big belly laugh out of that because, Lupin, I didn't know whether or not you were watching the previous show or not. I even prefaced everything I said with, you know, there's a good chance that he doesn't even watch this. But now I know you are because you made that right afterwards and you tagged me in it. And it's like, dude, I think we need to clarify something really quickly. I think we need to make sure that the level that you and I on is made very, very clear. You're not my enemy, right? Because an enemy implies somebody that's even like roughly of the same ability as someone else. You're not my enemy, bro. That'd be like calling a pebble that's in my shoe an enemy, you know? That'd be like calling the annoying little freaking reeds that are at the bottom of the river, you know, the weeds in the garden that are trying to freaking obstruct all the beauty that you've got going on in there. They're a bit of an annoyance, but they're not your enemy or anything like that. That's what you are, bro. You're the proverbial shoe pebble. But you know what the difference between you and a shoe pebble is? I can't get much entertainment taking the pebble out of my shoe and calling it a dumbass for 25 minutes, 35 minutes, 45 minutes, and getting a bunch of people to come around and watch me call it a dumbass because nobody's going to care about the pebble, and nobody cares about you either when you really think about it, right? And when I say nobody cares about you, I don't mean nobody's talking about you. They care in that capacity, but nobody cares in the way that you want them to. And that's kind of the reason why I'm kind of talking about this in the first place, is because it just implies the fact that he's calling me his enemy, you know? It implies, because the question that I asked him was, is this really you? Is this your genuine character, or are you just playing one? And I think I've got my answer. Because Lupin isn't just after attention for attention's sake. He wouldn't be pissed off enough to make some little post, some passive-aggressive shit or whatever he ended up making about me, right? He wouldn't have made that to begin with if I didn't piss him off on some level, right? He wouldn't call me his enemy if I didn't piss him off. So that tells me that he doesn't like that kind of attention, you know? And I'm going to make this very easy for you, Lupin. I figure as somebody that is just objectively lower than me on the YouTube totem pole, which is kind of sad for somebody that has all these like fake bot subscribers and yet still can't pull any views to save his life. And the times that he can pull a little tiny smidgen of views, he gets like no engagement on the video whatsoever. You know, when it comes to that, I just gotta say, dude, it's quite sad. And when we think, you and I, oh, sorry, no, it's just me doing the thinking here. So I'll think for you. How does that sound? So thinking for you here, what was the thought process that Lupin had when he made this post? You know, that's kind of the way that I approach it. And I realized that the kind of attention Lupin wants is people being outraged at him, right? People going, oh my God, I can't believe that he said or did that thing about him, or did that thing about my significant other, or did, you know, like what he did with Missing Mod or Christian's wife or any one of those people. He's all about shock value. That's the kind of attention he wants from people. The attention he hates is when people go and point out what a fucking idiot he is. And how he's never accomplished anything. That's the kind of shit that he hates. So, you know, it's one thing to sit here and what I called last time in my previous stream talk shit. But I came to realize it's actually not talking shit, is it? It's really not. Because talking shit implies that there's some sort of untruth, right? It implies some kind of lie. It implies some kind of deception that's taking place. And, you know, for a guy that constantly goes back and deletes his own content and then puts it back up and then deletes it and then puts it back up because he's so ashamed of the stuff that he's made, even with his tiny iota of self-awareness, even he recognizes that the stuff he's put up is worthy of shame and consternation, and yet doesn't have enough self-awareness to realize that he should keep it off of his channel. Isn't that an interesting combination? It really is. It's like the first multicellular organism, right? It's just complex enough to be interesting, but not complex enough to really do much of anything with that interesting new innovation. Right? With that being said, I just gotta say, dude, it's one thing to do that, but it's another thing to actually point out the dumb shit that you do and the dumb shit that you say. And I think that's the biggest reason why you got pissed off, honestly. And I get it. You're going to act like you didn't care and that it wasn't a big deal because, you know, you've ascribed to this new idea that in order to be a man, in order to have masculinity, you have to just pretend like you don't care about anything and hide your feelings about everything all the time because somehow that's tantamount to being masculine. But ultimately, the truth still comes out in your behavior, doesn't it? Isn't it Mark Twain? It's one of the quotes that I go back to every once in a while in order to kind of make myself sound smart. No man is smart enough to be a full-time liar. And Lupin, you most certainly are not smart enough to be a full-time liar. If Samuel Clemens wasn't smart enough to be one, I doubt that you are. So, with that in mind, that's Mark Twain, by the way. I know that you don't know that because you haven't picked up a book in your fucking life. But I just wanted to let you know that before you're like, what's that about? You know? But the reason why you got so pissed off was because I literally just showed your content. I showed your content and I demonstrated to everybody that you don't give a fuck about your content, that you don't really care, that you don't really put any effort into it whatsoever. And what argument do you really have against that, right? What argument do you have against that? I somehow doubt that the thing that you made about me, the community post that you tagged me in, was some like screed that was like logically, here's my treatise on why you are wrong, Aiden. You know, if someone's wrong about it, someone correct me if I'm wrong about that. But until you put out that short telling me about that, I ain't gonna be fucking watching a damn thing that you tell me to watch or look at a damn thing that you tell me to look at. Because why the hell would I? You know? It's the classic adage that I've had all throughout my life. If you're pissed off at me, if you're angry with me, if you've got a beef with me, right? Why would I do a fucking thing that you want me to do? Like, it just doesn't make sense on the face of it, does it? It really doesn't. So, with that being said, I think the best way of showing what an idiot you are and showing what a repressed person you are, because, you know, that whole masculinity thing I was talking about, yeah, you can only repress things like that for so long in your life before they come bubbling out to the surface. And here's a great example of just a little bit of that coming bubbling out into the surface. Live here on the Aiden Linden channel. Come check it out. 108.5 Aiden FM coming at you live with Lupin's strange stream confessions that he thought nobody would watch. Look at that face, by the way. Look at those faces. I just want to point out really quickly before I go forward. My goodness. Those are the faces of a couple of men that are satisfied with their lives, aren't they? Those are two people that just love their lives as much as they possibly can, hey? They just, oh man, filled to the brim with a love of life is the impression I get when I look at these two faces. Not miserable and self-loathing and feels the need to put other people down as the only means of lifting themselves back up. I don't get that impression. No, I get a love for the Lord and a love for life and a vigor and a light of the Holy Spirit. That's the impression I get off of these two here mugs. Let's see.
I've crashed out one time. I got video evidence of it.
Because I got all these fucking programs running.
You're trying to find that one Latino?
I'm trying to do a scan on Cleaner. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna need malware bytes and everything like that. Try to find that one.
Riveting content,
Yeah.
I must say.
I'm not.
That's some excellent cross commentary there, Clay. Yeah. Real engagement in the stream. You know, I can see why these streams get so much engagement. Really quick, I'm just gonna kind of go off into a little bit of a tangent here. I didn't even have this prepared on the show, but let's just compare and contrast, right? Let's compare and contrast, because, well, I say I don't have it ready. I mean, I don't have it pulled up, but I figured at some point I may as well have this as an example. Because for somebody like Lupin, who's so obviously chasing fame, right? He's so desperate. What I said before, he wants to be liked by people. I think that's kind of true. But what he really wants is he wants to be an influencer, right? He wants people to listen to him. And he wants people to take him seriously. And it's like, dude, hold on. I'm going to pull this back up. I'll have that right back. But I just want to do a little bit of a compare and contrast, because this video of his has been up for about 5 days. It's been up for about 5 days. Here's the stunning engagement that Lupin's had in that 5 days. 40 views, 3 likes. You're killing it, dude. You're killing it on this content, dude. You're going fucking gangbusters on YouTube with that kind of shit, bro. 3 likes? God damn. That's almost as many people as rode the short bus on the way to whatever sorry excuse of a school that you went to growing up, dude. God damn. That's impressive. Not as impressive as this, though. Bloop. Let's get that back up. There we go. Before I even went live, brother. Brother. Think about this for a moment, all right? Let's put all the bullshit aside, right? Let's put all the beef aside. It's got to sting a little bit to know that I get more likes on my stream, on my tiny little channel. Only got 75 subscribers, dude. I've got a tiny little itty-bitty baby channel compared to your channel. You got like 2-point-something thousand subscribers. And I've got more likes before I've even said a word, Lupin. than you get on that stream in 5 days. That's gotta hurt a little bit. It's gotta sting. And I'm sorry that I have to be the one to break that news to you here. I know that it's regrettable, but that's all right. You know, I was checking my YouTube analytics the other day, and I got a lot of watch time on certain videos. A lot of watch time on certain videos. And I know for a fact that some of that watch time is going to be coming from you guys. Some of that watch time on these streams is going to be coming from you and coming from the 837 accounts that you try to send over the next fucking month or two to go ahead and try to like distract me or social engineer me in the chat like you did the other day. Oh my God, that failed social engineering attempt from Clay in the chat. I'll get to that. This is like an onion, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to peel it back layer by layer, but we got to stay a little bit focused, right? And if we're going to stay focused, we got to get back to the stream. I just wanted to point that out, though, just because I found that amusing. And this is my show, so I'll point whatever I want in whatever order I want. So let's listen to this. Let's listen.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, look, I don't save very many videos, but it's like, for desperate times, if I'm like ever in a hotel room alone with a sample size bottle of lotion, I gotta stay moisturized, is what I'm trying to say.
And this is another thing too I need to point out. This dude, for acting like such a man, and this is both him and Clay, right? For people that are supposedly such men and embody masculinity, they talk in euphemism like a couple of fucking middle school girls. Oh, I'm fucking sample size bottle of lotion for a hard time. We know what you're talking about. We know what you're talking about. If you're going to be talking about weird, deviant shit like that, dude, then just fucking talk about it. But you do that all the time. You always have these weird little euphemisms that you've got to use when you talk about this stuff because you're a fucking weirdo, first and foremost. And secondly, it's just yet another symptom of the fact that you can't confront actual reality to save your life, isn't it? Like, this is a guy that needs to make himself feel better by propping himself up with a whole bunch of like bot accounts subscribing to his YouTube channel. So that when he wakes up every day, he can go, yeah, I haven't really accomplished anything in my life, but, I've got like 2,000 subscribers on my channel. Don't even watch my content because I couldn't pay for bots that actually engaged in my content. I don't know, dude. It's cope. That's what it is. If I had to distill it down to a single word, it would be cope. And that's really all you got, isn't it? It's just different layers of cope. And euphemism, that's just one of those layers.
She had a very good skin routine.
I've never downloaded porn. Like,
not even like on LimeWire?
No.
What?
Yeah, I guess on LimeWire, like way back.
Gotcha. See, I know you. I know the. Did you ever like when? Okay, when LimeWire was it gay that we had we downloaded like me and like 4 or 5 bros would get together and download
gay porn
and all. Look, it was late. It was trans porn. Okay, it was trans.
You know what? I had people fucking put clapping emojis in the side chat for the Trump without Trump shit, but fucking clapping emojis in the side chat for Lupin being able to come out for the fact that he's a repressed homosexual on a random YouTube live stream. Let's hear it. Woo! And even that statement in of itself, right? Even that statement, there's layers to that because Clay knew what he was talking. I'll go back. Hold on. Let's replay the tape. Let's go back. Let's rewind that for the audience.
When LimeWire was Was it gay that we had we downloaded like
Remember
me
when there
and
was
like 4 or 5 bros would get together and download
gay porn?
porn in all.
It's the fact. Okay, so the first thing, fucking Clay over here knows what he's talking about. He knows he's talking about gay porn before he's even said. He just immediately is like, "Oh yeah, I've done that too, bro." Like, for somebody that's been called a femboy by this guy so many times, I got to be kind of straight and honest with you here. At no point in my entire life have I ever gotten together with a bunch of dudes and watched a bunch of gay porn. I've never done that at one point. And that's not because it's not okay for people to do that. As a matter of fact, I'm not the one that's out here trying to pretend like it's not okay for people to do that. That's you, last I checked. But it's just a classic example of what you see so many times. It's the guy that always acts like he's so against homosexuality. He's so against transgender people, but he actually just wants to fuck them. That's the reason. He's got a hate boner. That's the case with so many of these people. They're such repressed individuals. Are we missing out on something? What are you talking about? Did I not have the audio? What are you missing out on, Hizzle? Do I gotta go back? Because I'll play it again. I don't got a problem playing it again. If anything, it's just filling time. But I have a feeling that people are listening. I got 10 people sitting here watching this right now. So I got a feeling people are getting the message right now.
Hey, love you, babe. See you later.
Love you too, babe. Have a good one. Oh, sorry, the woman in my life, the thing that you'll never know about, Lupin. She's about to head out for her work. Another thing that you'll never know about. Having a job. Having a steady income. Maybe we're missing out on the group porn. Well, I'll go back and play it again. Here, I'll go
I
play.
guess on my mind, like way back.
Gotcha. See, I know you. I know the. Did you ever like when? Okay, when LimeWire was.
Oh, I see what you're saying. We're missing out on watching gay porn, and that's why we're not cool like them. That's true, Hizzle. Fuck. I never thought of it that way. You're so right. You're so right. I never got together with a bunch of guys and jerk off together to porn. And then he corrects it with saying that it was trans porn, like that's any better. But you're just digging the grave even deeper, dude. You're just digging it even deeper. These people, man. Oh my god. It's so hilarious because all you have to do is just show them for who they really are. And that just goes to show that Lupin already expects that nobody's going to watch his fucking shit. You know, I wondered, why is it that he fucking goes back every once in a while and deletes some of his content? You know, why does he feel the compulsion to go and do that? And it's because he says dumb shit like this. I've only just begun, dude. You really better get to scrubbing your fucking content, because I guarantee you that there is a gold mine of shit like this. I wasn't even looking. As a matter of fact, I've been having people send me things like this. I got this delivered to me on a silver platter by somebody else, because I got sources. I got moles that feed me this information. And I just want to let you know that this is an open application program. If anybody out there in the community wants to be a Lupin mole and sniff out some more juicy content for us to laugh at for how stupid it is, I'm here for it, bro. Because I was just going to leave it, you know? I was just going to let well enough be. I wasn't going to make this a semi-regular thing on my channel, but I'll tell you what, for as long as I've got funny fucking content that I can use to actually, you know, spin into gold, spin that fucking straw into gold like Rumpelstiltskin, you know? I'll do that. I don't got a problem with that. Isn't that a beautiful thing when you really think about it? Making watchable content out of otherwise unwatchable shit is kind of a beautiful thing. It's taking like It's like taking a block of marble, except the block of marble is like fetid and it has a bunch of like fungus ridden bacteria and like pustules growing off of it. And you chisel all of that away. And underneath all of that is something that's actually watchable, you know, something that people will actually get some level of enjoyment out of. I enjoy that quite a bit. So, sorry to say, Lupin, I'm not going to use euphemisms, and I'm going to be very honest about what I'm going to do because I'm not a fucking backstabbing sociopath like you or Clay. I'm just going to be straight up and honest. I'm just going to keep making fun of your dumb, repressed, low IQ asses because it amuses me. Not for attention. I'm not going to tag you in some desperate attempt to try and get some views back for this channel because that's the only thing going on in my life. No, that's you. No, I'm doing this because it amuses me. And based on the 10 people that are watching right now, it seems that I've actually found the right formula. It seems that I have actually managed to make this into pretty watchable content. 10 people watching right now. That's what? Like a quarter of the totality of everyone that watched your video ever? Jesus, man. Jesus. What a sad state of affairs. I'm listening and working, but I came in late. Did something specific happen to precipitate this insightful review? Or is it just spontaneous? Oh, well, like I said, I was, that was Hizzle, by the way, that said that, in case anybody else is just listening in. Yeah, I wasn't going to make a regular segment out of Lupin's dumbass, but it seems that he considers me an enemy. So, you know, even though I've already done my due diligence in informing him that that's not the case, I'm sure he views me as an enemy. You know, I'm sure the tiny rock views the giant foot pressing down on it as a pretty significant enemy. So I may as well fulfill the role of enemy in his capacity, right? I may as well give him some content to cover on his dumb fuck irrelevant channel. Oh, hi, by the way, to everybody out there. I don't know if Lupin's gotten around to covering this part of the video yet. Maybe it's taken about, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours for him to get there because he's drunkenly meandered his way through it. But if you're at this part of the video and you're watching on Lupin's perspective, come subscribe to Aiden Linden 9661. It's a good channel. We got some good content over here. You got some good content. Certainly a damn sight better than whatever the hell this mess was. But anyway, I'm going to start my transition into more serious topics. So you transition to be trans more like... You know, I'll help you out with the joke there, by the way, for your commentary on the stream. just to give you some help. But in all seriousness, though, seriously, okay, we're going to have to start getting a little bit more dour and a bit more down to earth. So if you guys were just here for some fun little side light content, then that time has passed. See yourself out. Because now we're going to be talking about something that people have been asking me to talk about for a while now. And that is the Alex Preddy shooting. So I'm going to want to cover it from a couple different angles here. I'm going to want to show video from a few different perspectives. And then I'm going to get into a bit of commentary about it. So I'll start. Oh, goodness. Where on earth? Here it is. Sorry, guys. Appreciate the patience. I have a whole bunch of tabs open right now on my computer, so I'm going to start with the Communist News Network, of course. Because the main reason being I want to show the angle that most people saw initially. Now, I'm gonna mute it just because I don't want to get copyright struck. Well, you know what? I'll keep this one unmuted because it's not too like personal. it's not as up close of an angle as another one that we're going to look at later. I think I'll mute that one because that one is pretty graphic. But if this is upsetting to anybody, if this kind of footage is upsetting, this is your warning. Don't watch. Don't listen. I'm going to play this.
We should warn you that this next part of the video is disturbing. As the scene unfolds, you'll see several agents swarm toward Petty. Petty is on the ground as bystanders shout for the agents to stop. And then you'll hear a total of 10 gunshots. Watch.
That is police brutality. They are hitting that observer. They are kicking them in the face. Caleb.
So that's the first one. And first and foremost, I want to clarify, I want to make something clear here. If we go back and we observe, let's go back here. They're not in the middle of the street. They're not in the middle of the street because that's the big argument that you've heard from everybody regarding Renee Good, right? Like basically when the whole, oh, she tried hitting him with her vehicle, she tried weaponizing her vehicle. When that narrative fell through and wasn't tracking with the public anymore, then all of a sudden it became, well, she was impeding them. She had her vehicle in the middle of the road. She was trying to obstruct. And it's like, okay, what about the fact that these three people who are literally being, the people are shouting at these agents that they're observers. They're off on the side of the road. They're not obstructing in any way, shape, or form. It's the agents, quote unquote, that come up to them, that get up in their face. And that is what causes this entire scuffle that results in the shooting of this man. The thing that directly preceded this was a group of people that were off on the side of the road who were gotten up in their face by a bunch of fucking masked thugs who fucking tackled a woman to the ground. And when one of those women was fucking tackled to the ground, Alex Preddy attempted to render assistance to that woman in a non-violent way towards the agent, by the way, put his arm around the woman. You can look at other footage. I wasn't able to pull it, but other angles are out there. He doesn't try to hit the agents. He doesn't try to assault them. As a matter of fact, because they're on the ground before he himself starts going to the ground to help the woman, he is in a position where that if he wanted to, he could have attacked them. He could have assaulted them, either by kicking them or punching them or by using the gun that he had on his person. Now, new footage has come out. All right? Other unrelated footage of this particular incident has come out, showing that Alex Preddy was having an altercation with ICE agents about 11 days before this shooting, this murder, took place. And I'm going to play that because I do want to get the full context. It's very important that we get the full context. Also, for the record, I'm just going to quickly swap my background. Swap it over to something like this so that it can be a little bit more serious in tone. But here's the, let's see. I'm pretty sure this is the right one. Yes. Okay. So this is, oh goodness, what the heck happened, StreamYard? You just went ape shit with your UI layout. What happened there? Okay, I just had to zoom in on the screen and then it fixed itself. Weird. Anyways, let's watch this and get a bit better context of what happened 11 days prior. just want to go ahead and want to try to, yes, this part right here. So including in this altercation, you can clearly see here in the waistband that Preddy is armed. He has a gun on his person, right? And that is important because if he really, the label that's been used, because Trump himself as well as others have shared this video and attempted to use it to justify what happened in the other video that I just showed. They attempt to use that to justify that, oh, see, he's a domestic terrorist, quote unquote. So it was okay what happened to him. Last time I checked, terrorists, domestic or otherwise, were people that were doing shit like fucking setting off bombs. Doing shit like setting off fucking IEDs and gunning people down in the street and using ambush tactics to try and divert away military convoys in order to kill the groups of people that are in them. Like, that's what terrorists do. They'll kill civilians en masse in an attempt to terrorize the population. Isn't that what terrorists do? Isn't that what domestic terrorists do? But no, nowadays, a domestic terrorist constitutes somebody that fucking kicks the taillight on a fucking federal agent's vehicle to the point where it's hanging down. Oh no! Fucking $100 repair over at the AutoZone that's gonna be fucking subsidized by the fucking taxpayer anyway. What a fucking shame. You know what's really funny to me? Is that these people, these are the kinds of people that on one hand will act like there's no such thing as fascism in America. It's not fascism until you see people getting rounded up in camps, bro. That's the kind of mentality you'll hear on one hand. But then on the other hand, you'll see such fucking hyperbole for people's actions to the point where fucking kicking a fucking federal agent's vehicle to the point where their fucking taillight starts hanging off now constitutes them being a domestic terrorist. Oh, and filming people also is considered being a domestic terrorist as well, by the way. Do you hear about that? Let me go fucking find that video clip really quickly. Because I was talking about that over on Missing Mod Show. I was talking about the fact that there was not altercation, that's not the right word for it, but there was an interaction that a woman had with an ICE agent where, yeah, here we go. Just found it. Let me pull that up, and I'm going to continue covering this. I just want to also want to cover this as well, just to kind of show how far this fucking angle of domestic terrorism, quote unquote, really is being taken, right? So here, let's unmute this. And we'll play this.
It's not illegal to record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Why are you taking my information down?
Because we have a nice little database.
Oh, good.
And now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So
We're videotaping you? Are you crazy?
Because we have a nice little database, and now you're considered a domestic terrorist. So have fun with that. Right? Like, the label of quote-unquote domestic terrorist is used for as little as literally using your constitutional right to hold these people accountable by filming them in a public setting. She's not obstructing them in that video in any way, shape, or form. She says it's not illegal to record, and he agrees with her, and it says that it's not illegal, but then follows that up with saying, but now you're a domestic terrorist. So apparently, being a domestic terrorist can be as little as fucking recording somebody with your phone. Meanwhile, it's not fascism until we see people being rounded up in camp. It's just such a fucking stupid double standard. At least the little database is nice. You know what, B.S. Lewis? That's a good point. That's a good point. At least it's not a mean little database. Last thing you want is see somebody be added to a mean little database. And I just love so have fun with that. This guy is like basically making an implicit threat to this woman. He wants her to lose sleep at night. He's like, so have fun with that, because he wants that woman to go to bed and go, oh my God, am I now considered a domestic terrorist by the United States of America? Is my job going to be impacted? Silver linings, bro. Yeah, I suppose so, BS. Yeah, like, they are trying to be terrorists themselves. They're trying to terrorize this woman by making her wonder whether she's now considered one. It's like the peak of fucking irony. But anyways, let me just quickly go back to that still shot. Right? And the reason why I'll go back to that still shot is because if this guy really is a domestic terrorist, then what is the goal of a domestic terrorist? Can we just get a little bit of a reminder really quickly? Can we just kind of go back to reality for a quick second and look at places like Iraq and Afghanistan and look at like the Mujahideen and the Taliban and shit like that and their insurgency tactics? I'm pretty sure that domestic terrorists will use every means at their disposal to try to render as much harm and damage to other people around them as part of their domestic terrorism. That's an implicit part of that. So when this guy has a fucking gun, when he's got a strap on him, right? And the worst thing that he does is kick a vehicle, you really are going to sit here and with a straight face tell me that this guy is a fucking domestic terrorist? Give me a goddamn break. All right? And after this, I'm going to play another video, and this one is going to be without audio because it's very explicit, and I don't want my stream to be taken down. But this is an undeniable piece of footage that shows exactly what occurred. And what occurred was a murder where a man was disarmed, where the gun was taken out of his holster, and subsequently shot 10 times in the back. So let's see it. I'm going to warn you, if you are, and this is a serious, like, more than the other ones, okay? If you've got a problem, right, with seeing this kind of thing, don't watch. Because this one is fucked up. All right, even by my standards, this one is really fun. And I'm not saying my standards as though, oh, I'm just insensitive to this stuff. No, I say that because I live in a day and age where people were fucking showing each other ISIS beheading videos in fucking school before they ended up fucking going off to fucking like class. Okay, it's screwed up, the things that people in my generation have seen on a regular basis. So it's not that I'm completely desensitized, but unfortunately, I'd probably consider myself more desensitized than the average person. But let's play this. Okay, and I want you, by the way, just really quick, I'm going to go back. I want you to pay attention primarily to the guy in the red hat. Okay? The guy in the gray with the red hat. Focus on him. Okay? He comes to the ground. He's got his hands open, very clearly trying to reach for something. He does reach. He's trying to grab his gun out of his holster there. He retrieves it. And then he's gunned down. He's gunned down, clear as day. And he's shot in the back. They retrieve it. They now have it. This man here, this fucking thug in the green, then draws his gun and facing his back, proceeds to begin shooting him. And he falls to the ground. And after falling to the ground, if you listen to this with audio, after he's already fucking hit the ground, they keep shooting him. Because, hey, on the off fucking chance that he might still be alive, in case we haven't done enough to fucking sever his fucking spinal cord by shooting him in the fucking back, on the off chance that he's still alive and paralyzed from the waist down, let's just fucking finish him off, right? Let's make sure that the job is done. And let's see this next bit, because it's slowed down after that. After the direct aftermath here. Let's see it. You can see he's reaching. Guy in the red hat. He's reaching. It's super slow-mo just to show the exact moment. There's the gun. He's got his hand around it right there. You could see it right there. You could see it in his hand as he's stepping away. He's retrieved the gun. He's retrieved the gun. The man no longer is armed. He never, by the way, from any angle that you look at this, he wasn't reaching. He wasn't reaching with the gun. He wasn't trying to fucking shoot anybody whatsoever. And yet, here we see clear as day, after a man has been disarmed, what is the next thing that happens to him? They draw their guns and they murder him. They fucking murder him. All right? It's clear as day. There's no justifying it. And if any single one of you out there want to try and claim that that is justifiable, then you're not quite as much of a piece of shit, but you're certainly complicit. You certainly have a role to play because you're just looking the other way, aren't you? At the very best, you're looking the other way. At worst, internally, you're glad that this is happening. And I'm sure that there's a whole fucking subset of this population that's just fucking giddy that shit like this is happening, that this kind of violence is escalating the way that it is. Because like I was saying on Missing Mod show, right? The longer that this continues, the more innocent people are shot dead in the street by government agents, the more likely it is that in a country where there are more guns than people, where the Japanese, as a commentary as to why they would never even attempt to invade the United States in the Second World War, said we would not even try it, for there would be a gun behind every blade of grass. For a country like that, the idea that there hasn't been regular violence against these agents is extraordinary. And trust me, I'm not out here saying that people should be violent towards these agents, because I'm not. That's not the solution. The solution isn't to shoot back, because that is exactly what they want, unfortunately. This escalation against people, and this escalation that's occurring specifically in blue states, by the way, isn't that a funny coincidence? You're not seeing all these things happen in Texas. You're not seeing all these things happen in New Mexico. You're not seeing all these things happen in Alabama or Mississippi or other states that provably have way more illegal immigrants than places like Minnesota, for fuck's sake. But no, it's not because there's illegal immigrants there. It's because there's a weaponization of federal agencies and a politicization of them against blue states and a terrorization of the populace within these states that is actively occurring, to the point where the National Guard has had to have been deployed by the governor of that state, dressed in bright yellow vests, explicitly to make sure that the public is aware, hey, we don't have masks and we have bright yellow vests, so we're not the same stormtroopers that you're used to. We're not going to be fucking shooting tear gas into your neighborhood or shooting fucking noxious fucking gas into your neighborhood or trying to fucking terrorize a bunch of children during a fucking Halloween Day parade or all sorts of other shit that's been occurring. This escalation that we've been observing, right, is inevitably going to end in violence and bloodshed if it keeps going this way. And that is such an unfortunate thing, because I don't want violence, and I highly doubt that anybody in the side chat wants it either. You know, it's one thing to watch warfare. I'm not acting like I've ever been a part of a war, like I've ever actually seen it with my own eyes, but I at least know one thing. And it's one thing to see warfare on a television screen. It's one thing to read about it in a book. But this continent, Canada and America specifically, has never seen widespread warfare like that in like 2 centuries. It's been centuries since this continent has seen widespread warfare. So we have very much so become desensitized to the idea of mass violence. We've become desensitized because any effects that we see from mass violence occurs in the occasional guy that you see in the Denny's that's got a prosthetic leg because an IED blew it up in Iraq. That's about the most the average American citizen might be able to see when it comes to a direct effect from violence on that scale. So the American populace is very much so desensitized to the idea of mass violence. But it's coming. And it's not going to be stopped unless a de-escalation occurs. And the de-escalation is not going to occur on the part of the people that are being terrorized. Anybody that's out there saying, oh, well, none of this would happen if people just complied. None of this would happen if people just shut themselves up in their homes and just obeyed law enforcement at all times and didn't do anything. No, a de-escalation needs to occur on the part of the government thugs that are coming into these neighborhoods and gaffling up not only American illegals, but American citizens as well. The statistic that's been cited that none of these people on the other side of the aisle want to talk about is the fact that over 170 American citizens, and that was the statistic that was gathered about a month or two ago. I'm sure the number has risen since. Over 170 American citizens have been wrongfully detained by ICE, have been put in detention centers against their will, and were only released later on after overwhelming evidence came out to show that they were in fact American citizens. Right? You have that. You have an infringement of the Second Amendment, where the President of the United States is now saying to people that only criminals are allowed to carry guns on the street. You don't have unless you're a criminal, you wouldn't have a gun on the street. I mean, he had a gun. Of course it's justified what happened to him. Do you have any idea the fucking shit fit that the right wing would have thrown if Obama said those exact words? Just imagine for a moment, okay? I just want you to put your partisanship aside for a second, right? As best as you possibly can. Imagine it's fucking 2013 and you're sitting around the dinner table or you're sitting in front of the TV with your family and you see on the news, coming out today, United States President Barack Obama has made a statement regarding the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis by ICE. Yeah, he had a gun, so it was justified. Like, could you imagine what people like Rush Limbaugh would be saying? It's finally arrived, ladies and gentlemen. Freedom Radio is going to have to go underground. The President of the United States has said publicly that only criminals are allowed to bear arms. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Your Second Amendment rights are being infringed in real time. I would say that it's about time that the tree of liberty get watered with the blood of patriots. You know, it'd be shit like that you'd be hearing. But you know why you're not hearing that from those ilk now? It's because it was never actually about the freedom that the Second Amendment provides to everyone. It's about the freedom that the Second Amendment provides to them. Because they're not the ones that are getting gunned down in the street. They're not the ones that are having fucking agents terrorize them in public. They're not the ones that are having their fucking rights tread upon right now. So of course they don't give a fuck about any of that. Because it's not directly affecting them. But let me just ask you, everybody out there that has a more right-wing disposition, think about this for a moment. In another 3 years, barring Trump just going full fucking dictator and trying to fucking push a third term, right? Barring that, if and when the Democrats get back into power, which is inevitably going to happen at some point in your lifetime, unless a total overthrow occurs, do you really think they're just going to forget everything that's been happening to them? And I say them because I'm no fucking Democrat. I have no problem criticizing the Democratic Party, but make no fucking mistake. They're taking notes right now of every single thing that you are doing to them. And they are going to be using tactics that are very fucking similar, if not the same, to try and suppress you and take away your rights and take away your freedoms. And that's the problem. That's why things like the Second Amendment apply to everyone and not just a group of people. Because as soon as they start applying to a group of people, it will just be used as a means of stripping the liberty and freedom of that other group of people, of that out group. And that's what we're starting to see happen in real time. I just want to know, what's the point? Americans watching this? What's the level of tyranny that your government has to get to when you do actually start saying something? When you do start making your voice known about your displeasure and your discourse about what is happening here? When is that going to happen? I know that there's plenty of them that already have, but for those that still think that this is somehow fucking tolerable, I really want to hear your justification. I really do. That being said, I'm going to go and play some more stuff regarding this. I want to play this because I tried looking far and wide like I did with Renee Good. I tried looking for something about Alex Preddy, some like biography and some article or some wider information about him. And we know that he was a VA nurse. We know that he was an ICU nurse. And unfortunately, I tried looking far and wide, and the only articles I could see were all about the shooting, and basically only that. There really wasn't much actually talking about Alex himself, so I at least wanted to play this video as a tribute to him, because this is an example of somebody living by their principles and honoring those that they may not have personally known, but still recognized what they did for their country. And that's some of the most pure form of honoring you can possibly have, isn't it? To honor someone that you didn't even personally know. Isn't that why? And by the way, the thing that you see right now that's flashing on my channel, I'm sure people have asked me every once in a while, what is that? Right? What is that icon on your channel? And what it is it's a part of the memorial for the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Canada. And it's not just Canada, it's America, it's Australia, New Zealand, France, Great Britain. Basically any country in the Western world you can go to and you'll find a Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. Because the idea of honoring somebody that you didn't necessarily know, because you at least know what they did for you in terms of sacrificing themselves for your country, that is a very honorable and very noble thing. And that's what we're about to see. If it will come up. Where on earth? I'm really sorry, guys. Let me just... Where is it? Oh, did I accidentally close it? I might have accidentally closed it. Give me 1 second here. I'm going to pull it back up. Sorry about that, guys. Here it is. Here it is. Thank you so much for your patience. All right. And I just want to show this in the same way that I did for Renee, because it's not just about what they represented in their struggle. It's about who they were as people, right? It's about recognizing who they were as people and humanizing them, not just using the very bare facts of who they were and what they were just for political capital. Oh, Aiden. I know. I'm sorry. I apologize. Okay, I think it has volume now. It has volume. No, that's not the right one. Dang it. Okay. This is so professional. It's because I have too many tabs up. You know what it is? I have way too many freaking tabs up right now. And I had the wrong one. I actually did have it open the entire time. It was just in a separate tab. Here we go. Thank you so much, guys.
1947. Terrence Lee Randolph, March 30th, 1947, December 10th, 2024. Today we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it. May we never forget and always remember our brothers and sisters who have served so that we may enjoy the gift of freedom. So in this moment, we remember and give thanks for their dedication and selfless service to our nation in the cause of our freedom. In this solemn hour, we render them our honor and our gratitude.
And I just want to go back and I want to reiterate what he says at the very beginning there.
Terrence Lee Randolph, March 30th, 1947, December 10th, 2024. Today we remember that freedom is not free. We have to work at it, nurture it, protect it, and even sacrifice for it.
That right there. You know, there's a quote by, I think it's Dwight D. Eisenhower. I believe it's Dwight D. Eisenhower that goes, "Freedom is not long trusted in the hands of the weak or the timid." And that's very much so true. Because the moment that you allow freedom to just exist in a vacuum and not stand up for it when freedom is impinged or opposed upon, then you give license to people that try to take it away from you. And you allow them to embark upon the process of beginning to strip that freedom and liberty away from you. And never once throughout human history was it ever a case where your freedom was taken away from you overnight. Never once was it a case where all of a sudden you wake up one day and find that when you went to bed at the very beginning of the day, you had all the freedoms you were used to. And when you woke up, you were a slave subservient to another system. It's much more creeping than that. It's much more insidious than that. It's a process. It's something that begins with subtleties and something that ends with cruelty on a mass level. We need to consider things like that. We need to be mindful of our history, and we need to remember those that gave up their own lives in service of that. And more importantly, even than the idea that they gave up their lives, the idea of why they did it. Because isn't that ultimately the reason why they gave up their lives? Was because they believed in those ideas of freedom, because they believed in those ideas of liberty so strongly that they were willing to put their lives aside? How is this man, Alex Preddy, that's sitting here right now, how is he any different functionally? How is this man any different whatsoever? Because he, just like those people, believed in ideas of freedom, of justice, of liberty, and he saw a woman having those things actively being taken away from her, and rather than being weak and timid, he decided that he would stand up for her and do something about it. And what has happened as a result? He's been labeled as a domestic terrorist. He's been laughed at. He's been demeaned. I'm sure there's plenty of fucking Twitter posts out there by people like fucking Matt Walsh, just like what he made about Renee Good, somehow making this American ICU VA nurse into the worst person you could possibly imagine, just like how he made a Christian widow and mother into the worst person that you could ever possibly imagine, because that's the spin with these fucking sociopaths. They'll endlessly make excuses for a system that they, in some way, shape, or form, benefit from, even if that benefit extends to as little as trying to gain internet points and validation from other people on YouTube. Even something that bare in terms of benefit is enough to draw people to unironically support the murder of a man like this. And I think that that ought to give not just people in this chat pause, but the rest of society in general. Dustin, stop telling me to open the floor. I'll open the floor when I want to. All right? This is my show. Stop telling me what to do, please. Thank you very much. All right? I want to cover a couple other things. I want to cover the aftermath of this awful shooting. I want to cover the press conference that was given. All right? And this is courtesy of Big Bad Mama, which, by the way, please subscribe to Big Bad Mama. Check out their channel whenever you want. Much appreciated. But this clip is courtesy of them.
Between your agency, Border Patrol, and Mr. Charles, your agency, ICE, we've now seen 2 separate people shot and killed by your officers within 17 days. Do either of you plan on taking any accountability for those actions?
2 suspects, or you're correct, 2 suspects have been shot, and suspects that assault, delay, obstruct, or threaten a law enforcement officer's life. It goes back to the choices that we just talked about. When individuals make poor choices, poor decisions, come into a law enforcement situation, an active law enforcement situation, conspire to come into that situation, whether that's based on ideology, we don't know. That'll be in the investigation that we just talked about. That's what we base the split second decisions on, and our law enforcement officers are safe. They managed, they managed to come home at the end of shift.
So that's the clip. Notice how at no point in time does he ever actually say that they're going to take responsibility. Complete 100% dodge from him. From this fucking Bovino clown. This guy who literally fucking tear gassed a bunch of children during a Halloween parade and then lied about it to a federal judge. Lied about information. And then when it came out that there was body cam footage of it from other perspectives, even though he didn't have a body cam, which coincidence, isn't that? Some kind of coincidence that even though everyone else was supposed to have a body cam, he just conveniently didn't have one that would have captured the best angle of what occurred. But lied about the fact there was body cams to the federal judge, and then when that came out, it just kind of got shuffled under the news, shuffled under the rug. Never mind about that. Let's just move right on to the next thing, just like every other fucking cover-up that's happened under this administration, right? That wasn't enough to get rid of this guy. But you know what was enough to get rid of this guy? This press conference right here. He handled this press conference so poorly, even in the eyes of Trump, that he got dismissed. And now he's languishing somewhere in fucking California right now. This idea, before I get to the fact that he's languishing away in California, by the way, I want to talk about the fact that, according to him, an active law enforcement situation was what he was just citing right there, right? Well, if you look at the footage surrounding the Alex Preddy case, you'll find that these observers were literally standing on the side of the road, and that it was the agents, quote unquote, coming up to them that instigated the entire situation to begin with. They were off to the side. They weren't in their way. They weren't obstructing in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, when somebody gets tackled to the ground through no fault of their own because some fucking thug decided that he needs to at least fucking get some innocent person on the ground today, otherwise his little fucking nub isn't gonna get a chub today, now is it? When they decide that's gonna happen, and somebody actually has the balls to go, hey, don't do that, and not attack them, because let me tell you, okay, if Alex drew on them, right? If he tried to shoot them, I wouldn't be sitting here defending him, because that would be way over the line. But he didn't even try to assault or harm any of these agents whatsoever. He tried to help the woman that those agents were fucking attacking. And now that's being characterized as, oh, he got it up in their face. Give me a fucking break. It's the furthest thing from the truth that you can possibly imagine. Just abjectly false when you look at the video footage. But hey, who cares, right? Apparently the American people care enough to apply enough pressure to get this fucking clown dismissed. Now, I don't know if this image is real. I really don't. But damn, do I ever fucking hope it is real. because here we have Greg Bovino in one of the most depressing one of the most depressing photos I've ever seen in my life. If it is AI, I wouldn't be surprised because it looks like it's either AI or photoshopped, as though it was like prompted to be the most depressing thing you've ever seen in your life. There's just so many details about it that are just, c'est magnifique when you think about it. You know what I think of when I think about this image right here? You ever see a movie, a down and out movie about a guy that's really just struggling to make ends meet and he's just about to give up? He's just about to give up on himself and things are looking at their grimmest. This is exactly what comes to my mind. He's just looking so forlornly at this bird and his feet aren't even touching the ground. Oh, man. I guess if you really think about it, it was a bit of a sandwich, wasn't it? We started off kind of silly, we got serious, and then we kind of ended things off on a bit of a silly note. And that being said, on that silly note, because I do want things to at least have a little bit of brevity, I don't want this show to just be nothing but Aiden gets on camera and screams at everybody for fucking 45 minutes, you know? Like, I want this show to be a bit more nuanced than that. But in the spirit of trying to make things a bit more lighthearted, I'll have that image up for just a bit of a palate cleanse, so to speak. Let's all just take a deep breath and try to cool ourselves before I open the room, which is what I'm about to do right now. See, Dustin, I was going to open the room. It's not that I wasn't ever going to open it. It's just sometimes I want to get all of the things I want to say out of the way first. I just want to get my thoughts out there, and then I open up the room. So, what the heck? Where's the link? Dag nabbit. Can somebody call missing mod, please? Can somebody call mod, please? I'm starting to... Not my referral link, you silly freaking platform. Oh my god. No. I'll be right back. There we go. This is your time now, by the way, Spooky. Anybody that's a hater of my channel, pull this up. Pull this up right here, because I don't know what the fuck I am doing. I'm not going to act like I know a single thing about what I'm doing. But I got the link out there now. I'm going to highlight it in the side chat. Let me go do that really quick. Pin that bitch. Spooky. Get in here, Spooky. I know you never participate in any of these streams, but I know you wanna, deep down inside. By the way, if you like this stream, please shoot the stream a like. That'd be greatly appreciated. Anybody who's been enjoying what you've been seeing so far, that'd be super cool. You know who I've been missing today? She's been missing from the last couple of streams when you really think about it. Missing Maud. Where the heck has Maud been? Where could she be now? I have no idea. No clue. I haven't the faintest idea of where Missing Maud has been, if I gotta be brutally honest with you. I'm sure she's up to Missing Maud things. Hits dislike. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Dean. No, you're always out there. Lurking out there in the shadows, ready with the dislike in hand. Did I say dislike? Yeah, dislike. It's like disc golf. Running out of material here, guys. You better come in quickly. You better come in quickly. Let me tell you, I might have overdone things a little bit in the rant department. I might have gone over just a little long because nowadays we're going on about an hour and a half worth of content. And I'm running just a little low when it comes to what I'm able to talk about. So you better all get on in that there link. I'm going to give it about 5 minutes. That's right. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. You've got 5 minutes to get up on this here stream, or I'm shutting her down. We're going to end the stream here. Dustin. Welcome to the
Aiden,
show.
I didn't realize I was going to have to get my
heading into a grand jury impanelment.
I can't really hear you at all, dude. You're super echoey.
I didn't know I was going to be defending my country in a grand jury impanelment.
I mean, okay.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that was going to be the case today. So wait a second. Let me get this straight. What exactly are you looking to have happen from that case that you laid out? What are your goals here?
One of my goals here is ceasing of escalation from government overreach that's currently occurring.
But you're not going to acknowledge that the people voted for this and that this is the mandate that is in effect.
If it's
because
a mandate
you're going to point
a mandate that's in effect, then why does he have like a sub 30% approval rating right now?
I don't know why, Aiden. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
Of course it matters. You
just interrupted me.
Yeah, because you're citing the popularity of him and the mandate of the people when every single poll right now, even his own polls are showing him.
I never cited his popularity. I only cited his mandate. I couldn't care less about his popularity. This is the thing, Aiden. You guys have had the liberals have had their way since Bush. And the shoe goes on the other foot, and like it's not like anything's different. That Obama doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. In what way
if you're
was
saying that it begins with Bush? Then you're kind of.
I said since. I said since Bush.
Okay, pardon me.
No, what you're saying doesn't make sense, Aiden. It doesn't, because Obama deported way more with less resistance, and you know what happens when people get riled up. They make stupid decisions. And if you're going to say, hold on, let me finish. If you're going to say that running in between a lion and his meal is a good idea, and then say that because the ICE agents are Nazis, that there's no comparison, then you're not being intellectually honest. If an officer is trying to effect an arrest, it doesn't matter what kind of officer, what good does it do to throw more lambs at a problem?
What was the grounds for the arrest?
It doesn't matter, Aiden.
Yes,
it doesn't matter.
Yes,
so you're saying wait. Whether or not
an arrest is legal, whether or not the thing that's being carried out is legal is absolutely fucking pertinent to what we're talking about right now. Because the thing that you started by asking me was, what change do you foreseeably want as a result of what you have seen? And what I am telling you, the change I want to see is a cessation of government overreach. And as a direct result of that government overreach, we are seeing the things that are transpiring right now where people are being wrongfully arrested and wrongfully detained. So of course that's fucking relevant to what we're talking about. What are you saying?
You're pointing to the outliers, Aiden. You're making an emotional case. You're not making a logical one. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I'm sorry. The outliers are irrelevant. I didn't realize that the outliers were irrelevant.
Well,
of course,
let me get this straight. So everybody should listen to the minority, no matter what they say or what their opinion is, no matter if the majority wants something different.
You're trying to equivocate whether a minority case matters with whether or not people should listen to something based on whether or not it's a minority.
So are you?
No, you're conflating
so
those two
are
things.
You?
I just
so are you?
On how you're conflating those two things. And by the way, even if what you just said is true and I'm doing the same thing, last I checked, 2 wrongs don't make a right, do they? If 2 wrongs don't make a right, how is saying, well, you're being intellectually dishonest too? And how is that a defense for what you're doing right now?
It's not a defense. I'm not making a defense, Aiden. I'm not trying to make a defense. I'm trying to make logic of your case. You're not making any sense. You're making an emotional appeal.
Justin, it's not logical to ask me what change I want to see affected, and then when I tell you about what change I want to see affected, you immediately pivot to something else.
I don't know that I pivoted. I think you're miscouching my argument. I think it's specious.
Facetious?
Specious. It's a specious argument you are making. Yes, sir.
I was just making sure you said facetious. That's all. I mean, Dustin's talking to somebody, so I'll just use that time to reply. Yeah, the thing that I want to see changed is a cessation of government overreach, and whether or not they're the outlying cases or not, I think that you would be willing to agree, Dustin, that 2 American citizens being shot in the street and being executed without a trial is too many, right? It's probably too many. You're talking about Obama and you're talking about Joe Biden, and it's always this whataboutism with these other people. But at no point, A, did I ever defend Obama or Joe Biden. So this constant whataboutism and this constant pivot to these other people is entirely irrelevant. It would only be relevant if I was some sort of blue dog, hardline, vote blue no matter who Democrat. Then you could use that line against me all day. But what about Obama and what about Biden isn't really all that relevant when I'm just as willing to criticize Obama and Biden for their shitty deportation policies, and for Obama's shitty fucking drone strike programs, and for Obama's shitty fucking handling of things like fucking Libya with Gaddafi, right? Like, I have no problem fucking criticizing. Hold on. Wait a minute. I have no fucking problem criticizing those people. So what about Obama and what about fucking Joe Biden? Doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Go ahead.
Aiden, I'm gonna be taking a lunch here in a minute, and these are important matters that I do wish to discuss with you. So if you could be patient with me, I will.
Yeah, you're cool. I'll keep the show open for a little longer if you're gonna be going on lunch soon. But also addressing the idea that these are outlying cases. I mean, isn't that the entire point of precedent in law? The entire idea of precedent in a legal setting is that if an outlying case sets a new precedent, that is then going to be used in future case law in order to justify other cases and other procedures. It will be used to build a stronger defense for either the prosecution or defense, depending on what is currently being cited within that case, right? So absolutely outliers have a legal importance. They can help define how the precedent moves forward legally, and therefore help to set the standard of what even is or is not legal in the first place. If it weren't for outlying cases, then we wouldn't have the numerous different examples of legal precedent changing that we can see all over the place in United States law. So it's very important that they be cited. It's very important that they be pointed out. And if you're asking me what I want to specifically see changed, it's the idea that it is a normalization of this kind of behavior that is taking place around us right now. You may say that Obama was rounding up all of these people, which I agree with you. He was deporting shitloads of people. But show me footage during the Obama administration of the level of civil unrest that created that it is right now. It didn't create this level of civil unrest. And that's not coincidental. It's because the methods and means that these procurements are being done are escalated in terms of their violence that they wreak upon neighborhoods, in terms of their rippling effects on wider communities and their families, in terms of an objectively higher rate of innocent people being wrongfully detained by ICE. Not to even mention the fact that we've been seeing numerous cases of people being deported to the wrong country entirely. People from countries like Bolivia getting deported to like Uruguay or Venezuela or something like that. Because, well, they're from some sort of South American country, so let's just dump them there, right? Like, there's numerous issues that need to be talked about. And if you want to talk about the Obama administration and talk about the Biden administration and talk about the Clinton administration, if you want to talk about the fucking Lincoln administration, fine. We can talk about those, but let's just make sure that we understand right here and right now that the thing that is most important and paramount is the here and now. It's the present, because the present is the only thing that we can actively change and affect. We can't affect the past. We can't change
Aiden, we understand your position. I think it's been completely and totally clear what you're saying. It's okay when the Democrats do it. It's bad when Trump does it.
When?
I get it.
When did I say that?
That's what you're saying. That's
No,
this whole argument. That's what this all boils down to.
Ignoring everything I'm saying right now, Dustin.
No, you're laying out an emotional case that it has no logical fact in anything, because you're pointing to outliers. You're pointing to outliers and saying that this is representative of the whole picture, and it's not. You look at any one of the Republican states where the cops are cooperating. There's none of this crap going on.
The cops have nothing to do with these American citizens.
Dear Lord in heaven.
In the streets. The cops aren't the ones that are being shot by ICE. The cops aren't the ones being shot by ICE. Do you disagree with that?
It's irrelevant.
Of course
it's irrelevant because they're not.
No, because everything that I say is automatically
let me
irrelevant, and everything that you say just automatically fucking matters and is paramount. Of course.
That's not even true. You are pointing to these cases where bad things happen. Objectively speaking, bad things happen. It's going to happen. But again, when we deal and confront with those bad things, my question to you was, is it a better idea to throw more lambs at a lion when he's trying to eat? It's a simple question. What would you like to see happen? Because the people who are sick and tired of paying taxes to people that don't do anything for them are saying we've had enough, and you're throwing a fit. You're throwing a fit.
What would I like to see happen, Dustin? You asked me a question. I would like to see freedom not be trusted into the arms of the weak or the timid. That's what I would like to see happen.
Then why don't you go and provide that?
I would like to see, Dustin, before you reply, I would like to see this, what we're talking about right now, what the feeding of the lambs to the lion or whatever, which, by the way, great commentary about the inherent predatory nature of ICE. I appreciate that. That was pretty nice.
I'm not disputing that. I'm not disputing that there's a predatory nature to ICE. You think I like this? This is the only solution I see that's viable. It's the only one. Fuck you guys. You will not listen. You will not cooperate. You obstruct at every damn turn, and every time we get
Hold on. I need to say something in response to that, Dustin. I need to say something in response.
Aiden, let me finish. Let me finish, dude. Every time Republicans get a chance to do something, Democrats cry foul, point fingers, and then obstruct every which way. But we fall in line. We don't argue. We don't fight nowhere near as much as you do.
So in response to what you'd said earlier, hold on. I was just reading the side chat. My focus is a little bit divided there.
You're not even going to give me the courtesy of your attention.
I literally was just checking really quickly over at the side chat, dude. I'm running a show. That's part of running a show, is trying to engage with people and make sure that they're not just ignored over in the side chat. It's not a matter of disrespect. All right. So with the issue that you're talking about right now, ICE has been using different tactics compared to what they were using under the Obama administration. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I don't know enough about the Obama administration's ICE tactics. It wasn't all over the news. I don't know. I couldn't objectively answer that question.
Do you think that there's a reason why it wasn't all over the news in a day and age where there was plenty? Wait, let me finish. In a day and age where there was plenty of outlets for right-wing, Tea Party, Republican journalism, and there was no lack whatsoever of criticism towards the Obama administration, contemporary to the Obama administration, why do you think
I'll let you in on a little secret. I'll let you in on a little secret, Aiden. I'll let you in on a little secret, Aiden. Republicans have always been against illegal immigration, and Democrats aren't going to form a circling firing squad because it would be to the benefit of the Republicans. Stop pretending like public opinion is not swayed by money and paid interests. So it has no actual bearing on the reality of the situation. People are voting for Trump. They voted for Trump for a specific reason, and now you're saying that he's unpopular for that reason. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense,
for
Aiden.
that reason. No. I'm not saying he's unpopular for that reason. I'm saying he's unpopular because, well, he's reneged on a huge amount of his.
Oh my God, he did not, Aiden. You didn't hear the same. You didn't hear the same rallies I did. You didn't hear the same rallies I did.
No, I'm gonna talk now, Dustin. I'm gonna talk. This is my turn. It's my show. You need to let me finish my statement. You're interrupting me. Okay. He said that electricity prices were going to be down by January of this year. Electricity prices are actually up. They're up by about 30. No, not 30. They're about 13 to 15%. I've seen compared to last year. And the reason why electricity prices have been going up is
Are you serious?
Of data centers.
Show me a poll that agrees with what you're saying, please. Show me a poll.
Prices. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll just go ahead. Oh, we got somebody else. Let me add them to the chat really quickly. Oh, it's Dustin. Dustin is back.
Yeah, I fell out.
No, you're good.
Aiden.
Right. No. I'm citing it. You just asked me to cite something. I'm going to cite it.
Does that mean I have to be quiet while you're looking?
No. I have it now, and I'm pulling it up literally right now.
Okay.
So
all right.
This is EIA, U.S. Energy Information Administration. U.S. electricity prices continue steady increase. Selected retail energy prices and consumer prices index 2018 to 2026. We see an increasing price. Retail electricity prices have increased faster than the rate of inflation since 2022, and we expect them to keep increasing through 2026 based on forecasts in our short-term energy outlook. Parts of the country with relatively high electricity prices may experience greater price increases than those with relatively low electricity prices. Overall, U.S. energy prices rapidly increased from 2020 to 2022 as economic activity resumed after the world pandemic and Russia's invasion of Ukraine interrupted energy supply chains. Since 2022, nominal prices for many fuels have declined, particularly for those such as gasoline and heating oil that are tied most closely to crude oil prices. Anyways, although we expect the nominal U.S. average electricity price to increase by 13%, which is what I was just citing, by the way. Just was talking about 13%. No. Let me finish. You were just saying that there was no source for a 13% increase.
You are not listening. That's not what I said. That's not what I said. You're not listening to what I'm saying, Aiden. You continually do this. You misrepresent and miscategorize what I'm saying. I ask you for a poll, not a report. I asked you for a poll.
So now all of a sudden the people's opinions on that matter. You were just saying
I couldn't care less. No, Aiden, you're the one who's forcing me. You're the one who's forcing me. You're the one who's forcing me. You're just gonna keep. No, I'm not. I actually, you moved the goalpost. You didn't even pull up. You didn't pull up a poll.
You're the one that
you're not gonna listen, bro. I'm not gonna listen to you. Just yell at me, okay? This is supposed to be a give and take thing. This is supposed to be a give and take thing. I'm not talking to you. This is supposed to be a give and take thing, okay? You're not gonna bulldog me like that. That's not fair. I didn't come on here for that.
I didn't have you come on here to fucking misrepresent me either. So don't.
I didn't misrepresent. When did I misrepresent you? What are you talking about? Never did I misrepresent you. I took issue with your argument. I laid out a concise.
You were conflating my argument,
and you are ignoring that counter argument
earlier. You were conflating the idea. You were conflating the idea that because something was popular and because something had popular or unpopular support, you conflated the idea.
That was your conflation.
No, let me finish. You were conflating the idea of popular support with whether or not a niche issue that was occurring with law enforcement was relevant or not, and that's a conflation.
That was your contention.
No.
Wait, Aiden, stop. Why would I ask you? Why would I ask you for evidence of my claim? That doesn't make any sense, Aiden. That was your contention, not mine. Logic fucking persists if you're being straightforward I asked you for evidence of your claim. It was your contention. I don't care about popularity. That was never a part of my argument.
Then why are you
My
asking
argument
for a poll?
My argument, because you were making the point that his popularity had dropped. That was a contention that you brought up.
All right.
I was addressing it. It doesn't matter. The point is the people voted to get illegals out. And I told you, as I said, in complete consistency, that Republicans have always been against illegal immigration. And I suspect a large number of Democrats are also against illegal immigration. That was my case laid out in its entirety. Your case is emotional, whereas there is no logic. You are pointing to the outliers. You're saying, we don't want to see this in these couple of states, in these couple of cases. So what are we supposed to do, Aiden? Do you think
it at all? I don't want to see it at all. Dustin, do you want to see a single?
neither.
No. Do you want to see another fucking instance of a fucking American citizen getting gunned down in the street like that? Do you want to see that?
No, I don't. But you know what
so
else
I guess
I don't
you're
want
in
to
fucking
see?
agreement about that then, aren't we, Dustin?
Do you know what else I don't want to see? I don't want to see illegal immigrants moving into my country indiscriminately, thinking that they own this fucking place.
Oh, it was an
I'm
illegal
sick and
immigrant
tired
that
of
got
it.
gunned down. I didn't know that Alex Preddy was an illegal immigrant.
No, that's got nothing to do with what I'm saying.
Yeah, and it has
Aiden.
nothing
You
to
are
do with Alex Petty shooting either, but you keep fucking swishing the topic over there, Dustin, because you're the one that keeps fucking switching up the goddamn topic. You're the one that's conflating the fucking Alex
I'm
Petty
not.
shooting with illegal immigration when I'm not
I
talking
am
about fucking
absolutely
illegal
not
immigration.
conflating that.
I am not talking about illegal immigration. I am talking about the fucking shooting of Alex Preddy and the injustice of it. And then instead of dealing with the injustice of that and the systemic injustice that we continue to see happening around us, oh, it's an outlying case. It's less and less.
Not
of an
everybody
outlying
agrees
case.
with you, Aiden.
It's less and less of an outlying case the more it happens, doesn't it, Dustin? If it happens
Not everybody
again,
agrees with
if it
you,
happens
Aiden.
again- No, let me ask you, Dustin. In 2 weeks from now, if this happens again, if this happens, which isn't a fucking irrational contention to make, given the fact that these two happen within fucking 2 weeks of each other. If this happens again 2 weeks from now, are you going to say that it's just as much of an uncommon thing? Are you going to?
I'm just going to double and triple down, Aiden.
Of course you
I'm
are.
just going to double.
Of
I'm just
course
going to
you are.
double. I'm just going to double and triple down, Aiden, because
are,
this isn't about you trying to have your say. This is about you being able to tell me what to do. I do not want illegals in my country, and I am doing what it takes to get them out. And you are conflating the issue that someone got shot with the idea that these people are here for anything other than enforcing immigration law. This is your conflation. You are the one that is being illogical here. And the other end of the equation is I have no control over what this person does or what that person does. And therefore, the idea that I should be punished because somebody decides to do something is asinine and stupid.
So, Dustin, you were asking me earlier to pull up a poll. Give me the specific search term I should look up for this poll, because apparently the actual information that comes from the United States, which I pulled up here, the United States Energy Information Administration, that's apparently irrelevant to this argument. So tell me, what is the poll that I should pull up right now that is relevant to this argument?
I don't, again, Aiden, that has, look, you're missing, pull up the poll that was, hey, you just asked me. I'm going to answer. Pull up the poll, pull up the poll that happened just before the 2024 election and see what the public opinion. Oh, I see. So yeah, this is garbage, Aiden. This is garbage. You are conflating.
Finish what you're saying. Finish what you're saying.
No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. You're not.
Pull up the poll for the 2024 election.
No, Aiden.
I was listening to what you were saying.
It's not if you're you're not listening. You don't actually care. Aiden, I'm gonna make a closing statement. Aiden, I'm gonna make a closing statement and I'm gonna get off of this because I'm really starting to get pissed because you're conflating things. You're accusing me of conflating things. And I'm gonna make a closing statement. Okay? Can I do that?
You have the floor, dude.
Okay. The idea that the Democrats are doing anything other than throwing a fit, right? And the idea that these people putting their bodies on the line has anything to do with anything altruistic is ridiculous. They're doing it for internet clout, and they're doing it because You're not gonna listen. Never mind,
I am
Aiden.
listening.
I'm done.
I'm
Nope,
listening
I'm
to
out.
what you said. I'm listening to what you said, but Dustin, you're on my fucking show, and if what you're saying is laughable to me, I'm gonna fucking laugh at it, dude. I'm gonna laugh at it. These people are doing this for internet clout. It's a laughable thing to say, dude. The idea that Alex Preddy was fucking out there doing that shit for internet clout. Yeah, was the fucking resistance in Vichy France out there for clout too? Was the resistance in fucking Maoist China out there for clout too? Was the resistance in the United Soviet Socialist Republics, were they out there for clout too? Welcome to the show.
Hello, good afternoon.
Who is this that I might have with me?
This is Sophia. I also go as Daisy May, Sophia Daisy May. And I think I got subscribed to you from Breakfast Tacos, but I'm not sure. I was listening in with you and Dustin. Is Dustin still here?
Dustin ended up leaving.
He left?
Yeah, he left.
If I might, I did type something in your chat, Aiden, and I'm going to read what I typed in your chat. I said, I challenge you to pull up the list of names of Americans who were murdered and harmed by people who aren't naturalized Americans and read their names. And I want to know if you feel as compassionate towards them as you do other people, because they were Americans that lost their lives and some of them were harmed and injured. And I'd like to know how you feel about that.
Okay.
Thank you. And I'll stay on here while you do it if it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Just to
Okay.
make sure that I got the term correct, that's list of names of Americans who were murdered and harmed by people who aren't naturalized Americans. Is that what you
Correct. Meaning people who are here, which I'm not going to debate whether or not they should be here, but they were allowed into our country and proceeded to cause loss, injury, and harm. That's
Right.
how I'll term it.
So the ones that I have pulled up right here are the notable examples. And here,
There's quite a long list. If you pull it up right, there's quite a long list.
well, do you have a specific source you'd like me to? Pull?
Yes, I actually have it on another page. I can read it to you. Let me just go pull it up on my computer. I don't know how to share screen or anything like that, but I can go read this. If you will bear with me for one moment. And I pulled it from, let's see, the source was, because sources are very important. It'll just take me a minute to scroll to this screen.
No, you're good.
Okay. I cannot find the source, but I do have what I pulled the other day upon me doing some research.
If you want to link
it says, excuse me? I'm sorry?
If you want to link it in the private chat, because you asked me if you want
Okay.
I can
Well, it's not an article. It's just literally a list that's in a document, and I don't know if that will link.
do you have any of the context surrounding what happened?
I Googled it. I typed in names of Americans harmed or unalived by illegal immigrants. I did use that term, even though I didn't want to. I had to type it in that way.
Can I show you, or at least share some names on my list and see if we have some in common?
Sure. Let's do that. I'll read while you're speaking.
Okay, so I'll read some of the details about them afterward, but I'll just read their names beginning. Lakin Riley, Jocelyn Nunguri.
Yep. Texas.
Rachel Morin.
Sir, can you turn your mic up, or maybe it's on my end? I don't hear you very well from my phone.
Oh, yeah, I said Lakin Riley, Jocelyn Nunguri.
Yeah.
Rachel Morin, Lizbeth or Liz Medina, Grayson Christopher Davis, Officer David Lee, Hallie Helgeson, and Brady Haling. I think that's Haling.
Yeah, some of the names are difficult to pronounce. I have some of those names and I have additional names.
Yeah, I'll just go through all the ones I see here.
Okay.
Maverick Martzen, Aria Cruz, Aseno. I think that's one of those.
I'll tell you what I'll do. Let me do this. I will copy and paste this and I'll put it on my community post. And that way you can see exactly what I'm reading. But go ahead and talk while I do that.
Sure. I'll go through a little bit of details about each one of them. So
Okay,
Laken Riley,
fabulous.
22, was a nursing student murdered in Georgia in 2024. An undocumented Venezuelan national was charged with her death. Jocelyn Nungri was a 12-year-old who was strangled to death in Texas in 2024. 2 Venezuelan nationals were charged. Rachel Morin, 37, mother of 5, murdered in Maryland in 2023. An illegal immigrant was charged in 2024. Lisbeth Liz Medina, killed in her Texas home in 2023. An illegal immigrant was charged. Grayson Christopher Davis, killed in a 2024 drunk driving crash in Texas caused by an undocumented immigrant with 5 prior deportations. Officer David Lee, 44, St. Louis police officer, killed in a 2024 crash involving a Honduran national. Haley Helgeson, 18, and Brady Haling, 19, killed in a 2025 car crash in Wisconsin caused by a Honduran national. Maverick Martzen, 8 years old, killed in a 2019 crash caused by an Indian national. Aria Cruz Asensio, 8 years old, killed in a 2025 car crash in California by an intoxicated undocumented immigrant from Guatemala. Jimmy Friedman, a United States Marine veteran, shot and paralyzed in 2025 in Texas by a Honduran national. Ava Moore, 18, United States Air Force Academy cadet, killed in a 2025 ski collision in Texas involving a Venezuelan national. A jet ski collision, in Texas involving a Venezuelan national. I was a little confused as to somebody died in a skiing incident in Texas, but that makes a little bit more sense. Karen Diamond, 82, died following a 2025 terrorist attack in Colorado involving Molotov cocktails, allegedly by an Egyptian national. So I've gone through a pretty extensive list at this point and said all of their names like you had asked me to. My question for you in turn is, what is your point? Like, what is your point?
Well, I'm trying to speak my point. Can you hear me? I'm sorry, my mic was muted. Is that better?
Yeah, that is better now. Yeah.
Okay,
sorry.
great. Yeah, I forgot to unmute my mic. Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
The point that I would like to express, now my phone wants to act up. Are you still there?
Yeah, you cut out for a quick second. But
Okay. Am I still? I'm connected though, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
This phone's about to die on me. I apologize for that. Oh, darn it. It's actually shutting down on me. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. I'm going to keep talking then until it shuts down.
Yeah, just try to get your point across.
I apologize. My whole point of wanting to speak.
Uh-oh. And for the record, she said that she's going to shut down. I'm not muting her or anything like that. I can't hear you right now. I'm not sure if something happened with your mic. But I do remember you saying something earlier, and just for the sake of not having a bunch of dead air, I will fill in until you come back. I recall you saying something earlier along the lines of, well, why don't you say their names and let's see if you care about them as much as you care about these people. If you care about all these people as much as you care about Alex Preddy. Sorry, I'll come back when my phone reboots. All good, Sophia. You're good. Experiencing rage and calling those that suffer from it emotional. I think it's in the job description. I mean, yeah, the idea that I'm making emotional arguments because I'm arguing that people's liberty ought to be upheld and that no matter how fringe of a scenario it is, everyone has an entitlement to that liberty under things like the Second Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Pretty sure that that's not an emotional argument. But I don't know. I made my point clear. And Dustin, look, dude, you're more than welcome to make your opinions known on here, but I'm also more than welcome to laugh at them, okay? Because let's face it, the idea that those people died for clout, or that these people are out here dying because they want to get clicks on YouTube, is fucking stupid, dude. It is. It's dumb. It's a dumb way of thinking. Okay? That's what you said at the very end, by the way, before you say that I'm mischaracterizing you or something like that. You can go back and check what you said, okay? That is what you said. The fascist 33... the fascist regime in 33 said all these crimes against upright Germans were plotted by what they called the international Jew, but it wasn't for being compassionate. But it wasn't for being compassionate with victims. It was set up as a boogeyman to sneak their way into things. And I agree. The argument that Sophia was attempting to make, I believe, and she is, of course, free to come back on and correct me. By the way, if you're out here liking this, what you're seeing on the stream, please be sure to like the stream. That'd be greatly appreciated. But the idea that, well, let's see if you care about this group of people, or whether you don't care about these people, but you do care about Alex Preddy. I care about him the same way that I care about anybody being wrongfully murdered. I think it's a pretty uncontroversial opinion to say that murder is wrong, right? I think Sophia would agree with me in saying that murder is wrong. I think any instance of murder is wrong. And I think that in any of the instances that we just read, I mean, unless you can find me exceptions to the rule, the people that killed those people were brought to a court of law. They were brought to a jury before their peers, and they had justice rendered unto them. Right? Because they did wrong, but just because they did wrong doesn't mean that they deserve to die themselves. We live in a society where we try our very best in all regards to try and hold people accountable to the law. And that, by the way, is the crux of why I have the opinion that I do about people like Brian Thompson. In case somebody tries to equivocate those two things, let me jump out in front of that and say that the reason why I held my opinion that I do about Brian Thompson, and still do to this day, is because I believe that there are multiple examples where Brian Thompson was attempted to be held accountable for the things he was doing, for the inadequate health coverage that he was giving to people that were paying him premiums every single month. I think that the legal system tried, and the legal system failed, primarily due to the corruption that is endemic within aspects of said legal system, to prosecute this man. And because the legal system failed to do it, it is only then at that point that we can even begin consider any kind of extra legal activity of that nature. Because at that point, when every single legal avenue has been exhausted, I think it was John F. Kennedy that said, if you make peaceful revolution impossible, you only make violent revolution inevitable. I believe that's a John F. Kennedy quote. You can look that up for yourself and correct me in the side chat if I'm wrong about that. But that's a president of your United States of America, and a man that's regarded as one of the greatest presidents of the United States of America that said something like that. And what that speaks to is an understanding by a statesman, a head of state, articulating that if a group of people are not allowed to redress their grievances in a peaceful way and not allowed to have those grievances actually addressed, then they will inevitably turn to violent means. And I think that we're seeing a very similar thing occur now, right? The man, or men rather, Big Bad Mama corrected this with me. There was actually 2 men that murdered Alex Preddy. Those men have not sat in a jury of their peers. As a matter of fact, they have not even been charged with a crime. They're on administrative leave. Just like so many other police officers. They're not police officers, but so many police officers out there that have murdered American citizens. Many ICE agents that have murdered American citizens. They don't get any actual permanent consequences for their actions. They basically get the equivalent of a slap on the wrist and are allowed to carry on with their lives. That's my issue, is that the people that you're citing right now, Sophia Daisy May, are people that will have justice brought to them. They were murdered, and I agree that their murder is wrong and should be condemned as wrong. But at the end of the day, they will have justice carried out in their name. And as of right now, Alex Preddy and Renee Good have not had justice carried out in their names, and that's bullshit. And I have to ask you, Sophia, when you do come back, maybe you're listening right now, maybe I'll have to ask you again when you come back, do you agree that that's bullshit? Do you agree that the idea that we live in a society where those people that were murdered by illegal immigrants, that those immigrants had to face trial, and yet the people that murdered Alex Preddy and Renee Good do not? Do you agree or disagree that that is endemic of an unjust legal system? Welcome to the show, Dean. I hope you're doing well. I believe you're muted at the moment.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Hey, I'm just here to make sure you meet your DEI quota. I'm kidding.
Gotta love the bog standard Dean intro. How's it going, buddy?
Yeah, you know, being the token black guy, I'm just, you know, being the token black guy. So.
It has its role.
Yeah.
So.
I just want to say that, so there's a few things here that a lot of people don't notice, right? And so the US government used to actually have a website, a database for specific law enforcement people who basically committed grievous crimes and basically lost their jobs or got imprisoned or, you know, something like that. Basically, they're dishonorable law enforcement, right? And this database exists so other law enforcement agencies would be able to do a check on those people to see if, you know, hey, do I want this person working in my department? And what a lot of people don't know is that the first thing the government did when it took office was remove that website immediately.
It really just makes you wonder, you know?
Right? So much so, right? A private organization has to essentially like make a copy somewhat of the website. So there's some data, right? But obviously the people that were working to maintain the government website aren't around, right? And the website isn't around. Now, I find that to be very coincidental with the extreme hiring rates of a particular group of individuals who are engaging in immigration enforcement.
What?
Who are all not professional people.
That wouldn't be immigration and customs enforcement, would it, Dean?
Maybe.
Oh, what?
Maybe.
I can't believe it, dude. I can't fucking believe it. But Dean, just comply, bro. Just comply. It doesn't matter that they're operating unjustly. It doesn't matter that they're infringing on people's rights. It doesn't matter that the president of the United States is trying to undermine your constitutional rights. Just comply.
Yeah, you want it. I'm going to show you how worse it is, right? A lot of people don't know these things because you don't see this information being brought up on mainstream media because, one, it will probably be very terrifying. And two, it probably won't even get as much clicks as far as they're concerned. But when they're going around knocking on people's homes, it's not random. They're specifically targeting mainly Latino homes and homes that have any indication that an immigrant right? Or the people in the house are immigrants. How did they get this information? From polling, right? For polling for the census. So they're using census data to go around, right, and knock on doors and harass people simply because of their skin color. Now, last time I checked, that is unlawful, right? But again, no one's talking about that.
I thought we did something about that back in the 60s, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
Nope, some people missed that memo.
Welcome, by the way, to the show, Big Bad Mama.
Hi, guys. I got a couple comments. Sophia, and I might have missed this, but Sophia wanted you to bring up the list
You're cutting in and out a little bit.
of the people that had been killed by illegal immigrants and knew about these recent killings by ICE and the Border Patrol. But you might have made this point, but we're talking about institutional murder as opposed to a murder by an individual, as you said, who's tried, unlike these recent murders where we'll see if there's justice for these people. So it's kind of making it seem like you don't have the same emotional feelings for those people, like they're on an even level, which I don't see them as on an even level. And regarding Dustin asked you, name one promise that Trump broke. And you said the price of electricity has gone up. And you showed him the graph and the report. And he wanted to see a poll. A poll is not relevant in any way. A poll is not showing the actual data. And then he tried to switch the goalposts, saying that, I was talking about the things that Trump promised and what the people wanted him to do. Am I missing that or not, Aiden?
No, I agree. I think that there was definitely some goalpost shifting there. He was telling me on one hand that me trying to cite the fact that Trump's approval rating and his polling rate has been so low. He tried to say on that regard that, the actual opinion and popularity that he has is irrelevant. That doesn't matter. What matters is what he's actually doing. But then when it comes to the actual promises that he's made and the data that bears out that he hasn't made that promise, or at least fulfilled that promise, then all of a sudden we need to talk about what the people say. And the people's voice is now paramount again in the conversation. It's not internally consistent, in my opinion.
Right. And I would also push back that the people voted for Trump to get rid of violent illegal offenders, not for working people that are part of the economy that are just going to work and trying to support their families. They might be here illegally, but they're part of our economy, whether we like it or not. And they're actually a valuable part of our economy. So the people did not vote for that, Dustin. The people did not vote for ICE to be violent and to go to Home Depots and bust people who just want to work. Hey, Christian.
Trump is king of the world right now. Give me a break, Jamie. I mean, like, come on, dude. Do you really I have to ask.
He's trolling.
Are you? I'm sure on a level he is trolling, but aren't you proud of the fact that you live in a country that isn't under a king? Wasn't that the whole point of your country was not to have a king anymore, and that we the people and all that shit, right? Wasn't the idea that popular sovereignty was the way of going forward, and that we shouldn't just put all of our power into one king, because if we do that, then you start getting people like George III. But hey, the tiny little taxation that George III put on tea is totally irrelevant compared to the massive amounts of taxation that have been put on the American people in terms of tariffs. But never mind that. Never mind the fact that America threw such a shit fit over taxation that was done as a direct result of the 7 Years' War, and the fact that Britain actually had a justifiable reason for increasing the tax rate on things like stamps and things like tea and things like that in order to try and repay the costs of trying to defend the colonies from the French during the French and Indian War. Like, compare that to what's happening in the modern day, right? We haven't even touched tariffs really much at all on this channel, but tariffs are objectively a taxation on the American people. It's you, the American taxpayer, that's footing the bill when it comes to paying those tariffs. And that hasn't even been addressed at all by him. He'll just totally distort that into saying it's not you that's paying the tariffs, it's China that's paying the tariffs. And yet, in spite of that, your grocery
And people
bill,
believe that crap.
of course they do, because they haven't really looked into the implications of tariffs or the history that tariffs have had with the United States and their horrible ramifications through things like the Great Depression. Tariffs were attempted as a means of trying to punish other countries economically during the Great Depression, and it just made the Great Depression worse. It extended it out even longer and made Herbert Hoover even more unelectable than he already was before.
Well, that's not the frightening part. The frightening part is that only Congress can implement permanent tariffs. The president doesn't have the power to do that. The president can only levy tariffs under emergency situations, and it's temporary. It's not a permanent thing. It's not supposed to be a permanent thing. So
Look out. Oh, I'm sorry, Dean. Go ahead. I thought you were done.
Just real quick. So that there's two things you see there. You see Congress delegating their power to another branch of government, which is illegal, by the way. And you see a president overreaching his power and responsibility, which again is illegal. Any president that's doing what Congress is supposed to be doing, it's illegal.
Right. And that's in front of the Supreme Court presently is the thing about Trump issuing tariffs, or only if Congress can do that. But, I would add that only recently, these tariffs have affected farmers in a huge way. And Trump was just in Iowa bragging to these people that the tariffs raised the money that he then gave a bailout to the farmers of several billions of dollars. So he was bragging about giving them a bailout and helping them out. And then he just blamed China. He didn't do any explanation, but he just blamed China for the whole thing. So it's amazing. And the people were applauding, even though they're in a state where, there's a lot of farmers. They're the ones that are getting screwed.
The way how I see it is that people, I don't affiliate with any party, right? Because I fundamentally understand that these parties do not care about us. They only serve one master, and that's corporations. And both parties engage in activities. Well, if you really look into it, it's just a political ratchet effect, right? Them stripping away your rights, like the idea of the federal government busting into anyone's home without a warrant signed by a judge, a judicial judge, that is illegal. There's only specific circumstances where they could do that. Like, I don't know, if a police shows up and you hit a cop and you run back in your house, now he has the right to detain you in your house, right? Like, the rules are set, but clearly people don't understand those rules are being broken. And eventually, it'll keep happening until it gets eroded away. My warning is not about politics. This is about rights. And if the federal government feel they can do it to anyone, doesn't matter their status, who's under the jurisdiction of the United States. If you are on U.S. soil, you are under its jurisdiction, right? Then it could happen to anyone under its jurisdiction. People need to pay attention to these things.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Big Ben.
So as of January 2026, ICE agents are instructed via internal policy that they can arrest individuals and enter homes without a judicial warrant, relying instead on administrative warrants signed by ICE supervisors. This policy marks a significant shift in and challenge to traditional Fourth Amendment protections.
Correct. And the fact of the matter is that administrative warrants do not cover the breach of people's domiciles. That is not covered under the Fourth Amendment. You have to have a judge issue you a judicial warrant in order to actually have a legal search and seizure of people within their homes. That's the only way that they're able to do that. So the idea that these administrative warrants, it's basically the idea, the whole reason why that was set up in the first place, by the way, was because there was an understanding that there's a bit of a conflict of interest of that organization going to itself and saying, hey, myself, am I allowed to go and do this thing? Well, yeah, you sure are, buddy. Okay, kicks in your door. Like, what the fuck? Of course, on the face of it, that's a bare naked conflict of interest. But the fact of the matter that that is the case is just being totally overlooked by these people. And like the point that I was making earlier, even if you are rah, this is great, I love that all this is happening, do you really think that this is just only going to affect these other people and that this isn't going to come back and bite you in the ass once the other administration is in power and they've been literally just sitting here taking notes over everything? I'm not going to act like the Democrats are just automatically going to be as bad as the Republicans, but they're not just going to ignore everything that's been happening to them over the past 4 years either. Or that will have happened to them over the past 4 years by the time that they're likely going to get in. Because let's face it, the midterms are coming up right now, and even Trump's own internal polling data has him several points behind. He's extremely unpopular right now. He's really only galvanized about 30-something%. I think it's about 33 to 35% of America's population supports Trump right now. And that's historically low. That's like lower than Bush, I believe. And he had historically low approval ratings throughout parts of his presidency.
All I'm saying is, people, look out for your rights. The government will use well, not the government, the parties will use any reason to strip away your rights and your ability to participate properly as being a citizen or a permanent resident or anything in this country. Do not fall for the nonsense. Pay attention to the courts. Pay attention to how the federal government is implementing policies. It's all important. Don't be blinded by this party bullshit. They don't care about you.
And look at history. I mean, look at how they used, to Dean's point, look how they used 9/11 to enact the Patriot Act and the Patriot Act Part 2. And these were things that eroded our rights greatly. So they're using events like this, which Trump is orchestrating to further erode rights. And it isn't it isn't chance that this happened in Minnesota by any means. It was targeted.
Sorry, I'm just highlighting some of the stuff in the side chat. The governments of the entire world are trying their best to force us all into becoming a one world government. I disagree, Sophia. I think if they wanted there to be a one world government, they would do it. Why wouldn't they? They're the ones that actually have all the power, don't they? They're the ones that actually wield all the authority. I mean, nominally, we're supposed to have that power. But let's face it, if Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping and Zelensky and all of these different world leaders really were just secretly trying to collude to try and get together and become one world government, then they wouldn't really have all that much in terms of practical obstacles getting in their way of that happening, I don't think.
I mean, is this a real thing? I mean, we have multinational corporations. Those are the real power in the world. It's already global, whether we like it or not. The countries are just window dressing the borders of the countries, as far as I'm concerned. It's the big multinational corporations that wield the power. They're the ones that own the governments of these countries.
Agreed. It's not going to happen overnight. It's been decades long in the making.
I'm not one to, I want to become more global and less nationalistic, because we're facing environmental crises right now that affect all of humanity and all of the rest of the animals and plants that we share the planet with. So in many ways, I want to become more global and less nationalistic.
I just want to say,
as a rejoin, I just wanted to welcome her back in briefly.
Oh, hi, Sophie.
Thank you for allowing me back in.
Of course. Go ahead, Dean, with what you're saying.
I just want to say, anyone with some time, if you really want a perfect example of a multinational corporation imposing its will on governments, Monsanto, the same company right now who's is partly responsible for your really crappy health, your really crappy food, farmers basically suffering. Monsanto is a company that literally topples government, that uses even the US government to do its bidding. Right? And these companies are buying out our politicians, they're buying out our, government leaders, and it's like no one is paying attention to the stuff like that. But a random brown dude who's just trying to make some money for whatever reason, like that's the guy you see. Right. And I understand people are going to focus on what they see, but you should be focusing on the stuff that you don't see that's actually affecting you even more.
I have to agree with what he just said. There are some horrible things that have happened to our food supplies, our air that we breathe. These companies who've harmed our soil by spraying I think it's called glyphosate. I apologize, I can't pronounce it. Yeah, that too. And it's happening. It seems to be primarily happening on North America. Europe has not allowed certain chemicals to be in their food sources. Their grains and pastas are pure and clean, and they're not causing harm. Whereas ours, we can't. I don't eat that stuff. I don't eat those things anymore.
That's because the Food and Drug Administration in the United States has been gutted, unfortunately. The amount of restrictions that the Food and Drug Administration has available to it right now, in terms of their funding, have limited the amount of different pathogens that they're capable of testing for now. They're only capable of testing a fraction of the pathogens.
But has that just been recent that that's happened?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay, because I used to think that the FDA was in fact something that was put in place to protect Americans with food and drugs, etc., to where that people are not harmed. However, I think these things have been going on for a very long time. I don't think any of this is new. I think that, things like Red 40, which is a food color dye, has been in food for a long time, it isn't even really food. Food to me would be pure meats and vegetables, fruits, pure sources of food. And in America, for a long time, we have been very limited. Unless you're rural like I am, I can go down the street to Farmer Brown's and I can purchase fresh fruits and vegetables. And we even have a cattle farm nearby. I can go purchase fresh beef if I want to. And that isn't available to everyone. That most of the people, what they have to purchase in the grocery stores is horrendous. And it's been around for a very, very long time. And I would like to address something that Big Bad Mama said, if I might. First of all, I respect Big Bad Mama, and I ain't fixing to mess with Big Bad Mama. But I want us to try to remember together, if anyone else remembers this, or if it's something that I just imagined. I seem to recall numerous political leaders in high places calling for violence, and then their followers, who are the average American citizen, go out and they obey that call of violence, and they're out there doing what the so-called leaders who don't care about them, none of them, I'm convinced, I don't care if it's left or right, in between, I don't care. If they're a political person, I do not think they have the best interest of the average American citizen at heart at all. I abhor politics in every venue. I don't believe in any of it. It's nonsense. And it's been so raped through the centuries of, and America's not old. We're not old enough yet. We're still such a small, a young country compared to the rest of the world. And I don't trust any of them. So my platform is not about politics. My platform is about common sense. And I have seen some of these leaders, Tim Walz, Maxine Waters, and they've mostly been Democrats, where they have said, go march and riot in the streets and go do these things and go out there and put
show me
yourself.
No,
wait, I'm not finished. I'm not finished. Please allow me to finish. They have called for, these people they've incited through emotion, which I understand that people can be incited through emotion. But they are the ones out there putting themselves in harm's way, not the political leaders. They're up in their ivory towers, very safeguarded and protected, while your average American citizen is out there thinking that they're a social justice warrior, and they're putting themselves and their families in harm's way. And it's just a way to get in the minds. It's government, in fact, means to control the mind. And I will not be controlled by these governments. My mind just will not be controlled by what's going on. I don't turn the news on very often, but I keep my pulse on it just enough to know enough about what's going on around me.
Okay, but you have said a lot, though, Daisy. So could you
I beg your pardon?
I just said that you've said a lot, so could you allow Big Bad?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
So I want to know where Tim Walz told people to riot, for one thing. I want the exact quote of that. And,
That's not what I mean. Can I clarify that, please?
I think you said that, though.
Well, but let me clarify. I'd like to clarify my statement. When Tim Walz asked for the National Guard to go to Minnesota and to Minneapolis, he was actually pitting Americans against other Americans. The National Guard and the feds are two different entities, and to put the National Guard in harm's way of federal agents is just asking for bloodshed. And it's the most absurd thing that man could have ever had said.
What about Trump, other than sending them to Los Angeles?
I'm sorry, please?
What about Trump sending the National Guard to Los Angeles?
Well,
and
there was a lot,
and other places.
There have been a lot of loss, injury, and harm occurring in cities that has been incited by these political leaders, Trump included. Please don't get it twisted. I am not a Trump supporter. I am not here to tout Trump. Okay, I'm not about him at all. I don't like any of them. I think all of them have done horrendous things to our beautiful country, to the country that I grew up in. And it breaks my heart. And most of you, Aiden specifically, you all are younger. You're much younger than me.
I'm not younger.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay, well, I'm a woman, so I'm not fixing to tell my real age.
I was born in the 1960s.
Well, I'm Gen X. Let me say it that way. I'm a Gen X. Okay. So I grew up, I'm the latchkey kid who got herself to school and came home and unlocked the door and did her homework and helped her mama around the house while her mama was at work. That's how I grew up. I'm a latchkey kid.
But Sophia, you wanted Aiden to read the names of the people that had been.
Yes, I did, because those people matter. Their lives matter, right, and their lives were horrifically taken.
Do you see the difference between those people that were victimized by individual criminals who were caught and tried, or
I absolutely
whatever happened to them.
do.
Wait,
I
But you
know
see the
that.
Can you let Big Bad Mama finish, please?
you see the difference between that and institutional murder, which is what is happening. And the only investigation that's going to happen in this case is DOJ is going to investigate DHS, Homeland Security. And what do you think they're going to find? What do you think they're going to conclude?
Sorry, I had to mute my mic there for a
That's
second.
okay.
I had to get a sip of water. What I think is this. In my core heart, I am a humanitarian. I care about humanity as a whole. We all share this planet together with all of our different backgrounds, upbringings, religious and non-religious beliefs. We have atheists, we have agnostics, we have religious people, we have spiritual people. We all share this planet together. So I am not trying to say that I am for or against.
Right, but just really quickly, I'm sorry, but the question that was asked to you was, what do you think that they will find as a result of this?
You know, I really don't know, but what I will say, though, I was trying to land the plane. When a country is invaded for decades, as America has been, no matter the means of how we've been invaded, things are going to pop off and go wrong. And it's not okay. It's not okay. And if any of you have ever heard of the 45-year plan to communism in America, I strongly suggest you read that and research that, because that's what's happening. We are living in the 45-year plan to communism in America. And as an American, I do not want to live under communism.
And yet capitalist multi-corporations are the ones that are running the show. How does that work?
Yeah, corporations have never had more bailouts. Corporations have never had more corporate welfare than at any other point.
More power.
Yeah, they overwhelmingly govern things behind the scenes. It was even your admission earlier that there are powerful corporations that are currently shaping.
And they discussed me, but that still does not take away from. And what I didn't get to say earlier when my phone cut off on me, the first time, I was going to reference a YouTuber that I follow, and I really, really appreciate his message. He talks about rights and freedoms, and I don't know if y'all have heard of him or not, but he can explain these things much better than I can. His name on here is Paul Enslaved, and he also goes by Proper Instruction Motivates People. And he talks about rights and freedoms. And I think he expresses it much, much better than I can. And there's just so many ways as Americans, even though we have different backgrounds and maybe different viewpoints, if we don't find a way to heal the wounds and to heal the division within our country, we're going to lose our country. We're going to lose the things that we want for everyone. We want equality for everyone. We want children to be fed. We want people to have homes to live in. There's not one American that I know that doesn't want good things for all Americans. And I just think that the way that Paul Enslaved explains it, I think he does a tremendous job.
So Sophia, just really quick, Dean, I'm sorry. Then you have the floor next after Sophia answers this. So what would you say if you're saying that we're on a track towards communism, if we're moving toward communism as a means of government for the United States of America? What would you say are some examples of policies that are communistic in nature?
I would love to answer that question. And I can actually pull up the document that I'm talking about. It's literally called the 45-year plan to communism in America. And I can read you the points that they've done. Can you give me time to do that?
Yeah, sure. If you'd
I've
like.
got to pull it up on my laptop.
However, I did warn earlier. We're probably going to be shutting down in about 30 minutes.
Anyone, absolutely, I totally respect that. Anyone can research that themselves, but if you go read that and you read the bulletin points of this is how we're going to do it, basically, you can go down that checklist and you can check it off, and you can see that it's happened in our country for the last
But like even
10 decades.
just like a basic outline though of like even just one policy that's communistic in nature.
Okay, I'm trying to pull it up
I
here.
mean, do you think that the word communism has been used? It's
Oh,
been
here-
used
here it is.
improperly for
Here it is.
decades.
Here it is.
Let's let her respond.
Here it is. And this is from a source that says 1776history.com. But I have found it on other sources. But it says, number one, the United States acceptance of a coexistence as the only alternative to atomic war. United States willingness to capitulate preference in engaging in atomic war. Number three, develop the illusion that total disarmament by the United States would be a demonstration of moral strength. Number four, permit free trade between all nations regardless of communist affiliation and regardless of whether or not items could be used for war. Number five, extensive of long-term loans to Russian and Soviet satellites. Number six, provide aid to all nations regardless of communist denomination. Number seven, grant recognition of Red China, admission of Red China to the UN. That's happened. Number eight, set up East and West Germany as separate states in spite of Khrushchev's, I can't say it, promise in 1955 to settle the Germany question by free elections under the supervision of the UN. Number nine, prolong the conference.
Can we go through can we just go through them one by one? I want to go through them one by one just so that
There's a long list. Like it is a long list.
So let's start with number one. What does number one say?
It says the United States acceptance of coexistence as the only alternative to atomic war.
Okay. So basically the first bullet point is not nuking another half of the planet.
And that's a good thing. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's a good thing. We don't want to.
I agree. I think turning large parts of Europe and Asia into a parking lot is probably not good for the human race.
No, it's not good for anybody.
So number two.
Wait a minute. Number one still.
Okay, number one still.
So what this guy wants is isolationism of the United States, and he doesn't want anybody to trade with communist nations and not even almost acknowledge them, but not have any economic ties to communist countries. He's a purely an isolationist. That's what I gather so far from you reading those, but the first one in particular points to that.
Well, I would say it's not even isolationism. I would say that he's a war hawk almost. If he's saying that one of the steps to embracing communism is accepting that the only alternative to nuclear warfare is coexistence with communistic states. Yeah, I mean, what is the alternative to accepting coexistence of communistic states? Attempting to violently take them over? I mean, the only thing that's
isolationism is the alternative. And if you listen to the subsequent ones, it's all about we're accepting of communist China, and we've had talks with the Russians about different things.
Well, we'll get to the admittance of China into the United Nations. I have comments on that as well, but let's deal with number two, because I do want to deal with each one of these in order not to be unfair. I do want to address them bit by bit. So what's number two?
It says the United States willingness to capitulate. Yes, in preference to engaging in atomic war.
So the United States capitulate. The United States capitulate to. Read that one more time. Sorry.
The United States willingness to capitulate in preference to engaging in atomic war.
Okay, so perhaps a example of that would be. No, actually, the Cuban Missile Crisis wouldn't be an example of that, because the United States almost brought the Soviet Union to nuclear war. And it was only the fact that the Soviet Union turned their armada around and sent them back that prevented that from happening. So I guess that wasn't even a capitulation. Let me try to think of a United States capitulation to the Soviet bloc.
An example was when they were trying to get the Ukrainians to give up the nuclear weapons.
Oh, well, they agreed. Ukraine agreed to give up its nuclear weapons, but they agreed to give them up in exchange for a pact with Russia, the newfound Russian Federation, that said that
And
they
the US.
invaded,
And the
and
US.
the United States, that they wouldn't be invaded, and that got broken by the Russian Federation. But I would only say that I wouldn't necessarily view that as a capitulation to the Soviets, because that was done as a result of the breakup of the Soviet Union, and the Russian Federation was not a communistic state any longer. So I would say that, you know what? I'm going to Google it right now. I'm going to try to steelman this, because I don't want to just, dismiss that.
Should we go to 3 in the meantime?
Yeah, you could go to 3.
Number 3 says, develop the illusion that total disarmament by the United States would be a demonstration of moral strength.
So I would say the closest thing to that would be the treaty that was agreed upon with the United States and Russia that mutually agreed to limit their nuclear arms supply. I believe that both of those countries have since rescinded on that and are rearming themselves with nuclear arsenals.
What does this have to do with communism?
But, well,
it's a long list. It'll take a while to get to.
Well, I mean, this
sense.
one in particular, what does it have to do with communism? It's about weapon systems.
I think what it's
countries have.
trying to suggest is that one of the steps along the way to communism taking over America is, well, if we disarm ourselves, we'll show the Reds over there that we're better than them, because
communist countries aren't the only ones with nuclear missiles.
It has to do also with the Second Amendment.
Oh, you just mean like the general right to bear arms?
Yeah, it has to do with that greatly. And you'll
Okay.
notice most of Europe, they are not allowed to have weapons like we are.
Right, but that's not the United States. But in any case,
And they don't have the gun deaths that we do.
that's also true. But I would just say that the closest example to that, and I'm trying to steelman this just to not be unfair towards it, but the closest example that we'd see to number 3 was an agreement between America and the Russian Federation to limit their nuclear stockpiles. I don't think of any other. I can't think of any example besides that of them attempting to disarm, and that was a mutual agreement between them rather than a one-sided one.
It's a very long document. It's probably more than you can cover if you're getting ready to shut
Maybe
down
we
your
should
live
do a whole
stream.
show on it.
We could.
I would love it. I would love it if you could pull this up.
Put it in the
because
private
it is-
chat there, Sophia.
It's
Can
a
you?
very long document, and I don't know how to share it. I'm not very savvy with.
Can you put the link?
I can try, but
Cut
I'm
the
afraid
link
I'll
and then
get-
put it into
I'm
the
afraid
private
I'll
chat
get
if that's
disconnected.
possible.
Um,
Or maybe I could do it if you. What's the site?
It's called the 45-Year Plan to Communism in America,
Okay.
and it was rolled out in our legislature in the year of 1963.
Okay. Yeah, we could definitely deal with that and address it in a bit more breadth and depth on
Well,
another
thank
show. I think
you.
that's a good suggestion. I
Thank
would
you, Aiden. Thanks for letting me up. I'm gonna hop out. Let you guys do your thing. Y'all take care.
Oh, wait, before you go.
Oh, yes.
Unless you need to go and do something. If you need to go and deal with something, then I totally understand, and I don't want to keep you longer than you have to be
That's
here.
okay.
I just want to kind of circle back while we do have a little bit of time left with this show.
Okay.
To what was being discussed at the very beginning, where you were asking me to read the list of all those people. And
Yes. Yes.
I just wanted to address that and say that do you agree that Alex Preddy was murdered?
You know, I am that kind of person that I do not sit and watch any type of mainstream media. I don't sit and watch that all day. I research things the other way. So I am not educated enough as to what really happened at this point, but I will educate myself on it so that I can answer that question at a later time if you would allow me.
So would you
Because-
invite that same skepticism for every single person on the list that I had just read out earlier that you had asked me to read out? Because it seemed like that level of skepticism wasn't something that you were applying to those people.
Sir, those people were Americans that were unalived that I
Yes,
do know about. I do know about them. I will have to research what you just said because I am a little bit out of the loop. Today is, I have a little bit of time and I don't have to do as much responsibilities today. My life's kind of, it's very hectic these days. So,
Yeah, and I won't push you into an on-the-spot decision. If you need some time to
can you spell that person's name for me so I can go do research on it?
So wait, I have to ask then at this point. I will do that, but why did you ask me to go and make this list and
Because
talk about this?
I wanted to see if you would validate the fact that those were American citizens who were unalived by people who shouldn't have been where they were at the time. And I didn't want to debate immigration because that's a different subject for me. I didn't want to debate that. I just wanted to recognize. I'm sorry.
Did you think I wasn't going to recognize that those people were murdered? Did you think I was going to say
I just wanted to see if you had the same level of compassion. And if you could spell the gentleman's name for me, I do want to go research it so that I can give you a truthful answer based on what I find.
I'm sorry that you think so little of me that you have to question whether or not I would even be willing to dedicate that level of consideration.
I don't mean that. No, sir. I don't mean that.
Just let me finish, please. I would just say, as somebody that doesn't know very much about you, I put it in the chat, by the way, their name.
Thanks. I just saw it pop up. I wrote it down.
As somebody that doesn't know you very much at all, I would have assumed that you would immediately recognize those people's deaths as murder. And I would have assumed that you would have immediately recognized circumstances where this man, being Alex Preddy, was disarmed, had his gun taken away from him, and then shot 10 times in the street whilst being disarmed. That would also be a case of murder.
Well,
now,
that is very upsetting to me. And that is what I want to go find out. What led up to it? What happened? I want to go research it. I did write the name down. I saw it pop up in your chat, and I'm going to research that because, like I said, I have so much going on in my life that I have to take care of that I don't have time to turn on the news channels and understand everything that's taking place. So I appreciate you letting me up, and you all have a good rest of your day. And I'm going to go research that so that I can give you an answer.
Okay, fair enough.
Bye, Sophia. Good to talk to you.
Thanks. Y'all take care. Bye.
Goodbye. I don't think I was rude or anything like that. I just was a little bit.
Well, I mean, that's kind of when I came on. What I was saying is that, of course, you're against that murder, but the fact is you're not discussing that now because that's not what's happening right now, and you are calling out institutional murder, institutional violence, and that was the topic that you were discussing. So to bring that up, maybe you don't have empathy for those other people. It's like, I just accepted the fact that you have empathy for these two individuals, that you would have empathy for those individuals as well. And if something was happening in the present that was a story on those people, you would be empathetic to those people.
Right, and that's why I said to her that I'm sorry that you think so little of me for this, because I'm sorry, but if you're going to come in and ask those kinds of questions, then that tells me that at the very least you're skeptical of the idea that I'm even capable of extending empathy to those people, and I think that that's kind of a little bit of a poor judgment of character, no matter how you couch it. Of course I'm going to consider the murder of those people wrong, but that, like you said, A, isn't what I'm talking about in the moment. B, it's institutional. It's not something that happened on an individualistic level like it did here. And C, it's an example of whataboutism. Unfortunately, it's
Right.
it's not
Can
actually
I-
addressing the main issue at hand. And the main thing that made me so confused about this is, why are you being so opinionated about this right now, to the point where you're asking me to name all of these other people if you haven't even yourself taken the time to look into what I'm talking about right now? I just went over the facts of the case on this stream. It's not like my stream is the definitive way of
Well, you
being
showed
able
the
to look into
videos.
it.
So.
But I did. I showed multiple angles, and I showed what happened during the case. I tried to show the context leading up to the case and what was happening prior to them being on the ground. So, I mean, the idea that I just don't know enough about it to really have a strong opinion about it one way or the other. Okay, well then why are you coming in here and asking me whether or not I have empathy for these other people then? Like,
Can I
Go
say
ahead.
something real quick?
Go ahead, Dean.
So part of the reason why I'm somewhat against the idea of like even hosting my own shows is because my patience for at least what I see as bullshit or hypocrisy is very low. And I'm gonna keep it a buck, right? Asking you to read those names, right? I don't even think you should take it personally. What I've been itching to ask is, okay, right? Let's go through all of the names of the immigrants that have died due to interaction with ICE and being locked up in what is all intents and purposes concentration camps. They're not even jails or prisons. They're literally shitty camps meant to hold people, right? Not only that, we're not talking about the fact that a lot of these people aren't even illegal, right? You're not talking about the fact that these people are in horrible conditions. They're being denied, even as Christians, from being able to take communion, right?
Healthcare.
We're not talking about all of like the healthcare problems. Like, we're not talking about those things, right? So is it a situation where you only care about citizens, or do you only care about specific citizens, right? No. If you are outraged at injustice, be outraged at injustice, not particular situations and people who've experienced injustice, right? We have to be consistent here. And anyone comes to me with this bullshit about, well, if those people weren't here, I'm sorry. If the citizen that shoots the other citizen, does the fact that him being a citizen give him any more right to take the life of another citizen? Like, what are you going to say? Just because he shouldn't have been born? Like, it's a dumb argument.
So Sophia says, this is why I spoke of Paul unslaved. Proper instructions motivates people. He explains it better than I can. My thing is,
communism.
I think that might be the person who wrote what she was talking about. Perhaps it's someone different. She could explain that in the side chat. But my thing is, though, Sophia, is that you say that you've researched these other people and that you've looked into these other people, but when I asked you if you had any like corresponding information for those people in your document, I'd have to go back and be absolutely sure, but I'm pretty sure you said that you didn't have anything besides just their names in that one document that you were referencing. I at least referenced some things that were related to them and what had happened to them, along with their name and age and where they were and things like that. I was trying to give them a bit of context, right? So the idea that you need to do all this research for these people, but you want me to do this big, long, extensive list of all these other people and ask me to, in the moment, make judgment as to whether or not those people are wrongfully murdered or not. It's like, aren't you holding me to a standard that you're asking me not to hold you to? You're asking me, without doing any further research into these people whatsoever, to go and look at these people and look at their deaths and commentate on whether or not their deaths were justified or not. And when I ask you to do the same with Alex Preddy, then all of a sudden it's, oh, well, I need to go do some more research. I need some more context before I'm able to give you a definitive opinion on that. Okay, well, if I told you that with all of those people, would you have given me the benefit of the doubt there? Or would you start going on this narrative that you were describing where you genuinely thought that there was a possibility that I wasn't going to say anything about them because I just somehow have a different standard of emotional empathy for those people than I do for others. It's just not true. It's not conducive to reality. And furthermore, I think that when you have an opinion as fundamental as communism is taking over the United States of America, and I ask you to extemporaneously articulate even one of the policies whereby that is currently taking place, and you have to immediately run to the source material in order to justify your worldview, I hate to say it, because I'm not trying to be a hypocrite and condescend to you in the same way that you condescended to me, obviously, with some of your comments in the side chat. But isn't that a little bit, doesn't that kind of speak to the idea that these really aren't your ideas? That you don't really hold, that you're basically just parroting what somebody else is saying right now? And I'm not asking you to just totally come up with all these ideas in a vacuum, but if you're not able to articulate any aspect of those ideas extemporaneously when you're asked that in the moment, I think it speaks to the idea that you haven't really given that any serious consideration or thought yourself to the point where you have formed your own opinion of it. It's a classic example. Just 1 second, Big Bad Mom.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's a classic example of hearing an opinion about a movie versus actually watching the movie yourself. The only way that you're actually going to be able to have an opinion and extemporaneously express it about a movie or a book or any work is if you have sufficient understanding of it to be able to do that. Go ahead, Big Bad Mama.
Well, I was just going to say this so-called slide into communism is basically just McCarthyism revisited. And, you know, we've already gone over this in our history where so-called communists were persecuted, basically, and they were thrown out of work, thrown out of their jobs and blacklisted and what have you. And this is just a new attempt at labeling people with that and even going as far as they can with it, you know, which is to blacklist them. That could happen in the future and to cause them to not get jobs. You have a perfect right to be a communist in America. If you ascribe to that philosophy and that system, then you have a perfect right to practice that and vote for whoever you vote for. You don't have nobody has the right to do violence on other people, but I just think that this whole slide into communism is a crock of shit. Considering who really owns the country and who owns the major media and who owns the politicians. They're not communists, Sophia.
But I didn't condescend to you. You did condescend to me, overtly saying that my opinions are invalid because I'm in my feelings or because I'm young is condescension. That's the definition of condescension. But how is going through bit by bit the list that you provided, that's still an open invitation, by the way. I'm still happy to go and do that on a future show. I think that'd actually be some good content.
It would be interesting, I think.
Yeah, but how is going through that and attempting to steel man your position, which I did multiple times for each one of the points that were referenced, and try to give historical reference to those things? That's not being in your feelings. That's attempting to give an objective evaluation of the points that were given. I was really trying my best not to be dismissive and use emotional arguments. If I had just gone, oh, well, that's stupid, therefore it's wrong. Yeah, that's being in your feelings. That's making emotional arguments. But you're kind of mischaracterizing me when you say that I'm in my feelings when I literally went out of my way to take the time to go through things and steel man your points and arguments. There's another I'm Batman in the backstage, Dean. Is that you? I'm going to go on the main screen here just in case.
Yeah, I dropped out. You can kick the other version.
I can kick Dean Beta.
Yeah, that's fake. That's fake news.
That's fake news. He's the wrong Dean.
You could kick both versions and play it safe.
Oh wow! Nah. He got to meet his. He has to meet his DEI quota.
Now that you mention it, I'll just get rid of everybody. No, I'm just joking.
Well, you're going to wrap it up pretty soon, aren't
I
you?
am.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll stick it out until you wrap it up.
You also said that he doesn't know a lot. Yeah, she did, Phantom. And oh, we've got Midnight. Midnight, talk about joining at the last second. Goodness gracious, getting in right before the very end. How's it going today? Welcome to the Good Show. Is this your first time on my show?
It's literally my. As far as I know, yes, it's my first time on here. Maybe, I don't know, but I'm just gonna say yes.
I just want to say, Ruka, I'm sorry, Aiden. I just want to say this is confirmation that clear people are allowed on this channel.
Fuck you.
Love you, Midnight.
I love you too, bastard.
Who was condescending?
Bloody bastard, bitch. Who's condescending? We were talking about. I think he was referring to Sophia there about the whole.
Look, I know this whole thing gets turned around. Oh, you're being in your feelings. Oh, okay. Humans are emotional creatures. We literally cannot do anything without emotion being behind what we do. Okay, you wake up in the morning. You wake up in the morning. You go to the bathroom. You piss.
We're in our feelings all the time. I mean, that saying doesn't mean anything anymore. You're in your feelings.
Well, so I mean, I use the word emotion because, as I said, everything we do is based on the emotion, something we're feeling. Like, you know, we can have a conversation. We can have a conversation calmly, but the conversation is still based on how we feel at the time. We're just, you know what I mean. We're just better able to articulate ourselves without emotions getting in the way. Now, obviously, you know, when we're passionate about something, we'll yell, we'll express ourselves passionately, and you know what I mean.
But when you say you're in your feelings, like what?
Yeah, I really fucking hate.
When she was saying that to Aiden, it was a way to try to dismiss what he was saying, and it's not an argument.
Yeah, no. JG does that all the fucking time, and I hate him for it.
Well,
I don't know if you know who JG is.
I don't know who that is. I'm not sure.
It's probably for the best.
Probably for the
Oh, right, Odin. Right, you know him, right, Odin? I forgot.
Speak for yourself, Midnight. Yeah, Phantom isn't in his feelings. He's an objective mentat from Dune. He's like a human.
Okay. Look. I
calculate
yourself, Midnight. Okay, I would consider myself a very emotional man, but at the same time, I like to consider myself also as as a rational. I mean, I'm more considered towards the truth than my feelings, whatever the hell. You know what I mean? I don't know. I think a lot of people could say, a lot of people could talk to me that have talked to me over the years would agree that I'm more rational. At least I try to be. You know what I mean? I don't know. Odin, would you say that? You've talked to me the most on here. Odin.
Oh, snap. The silence.
Can you hear me?
Happening. Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry about that. I probably cut out again. Nah, I don't see Midnight as like being overly emotional. I mean, trust me, guys, people have said some things to this guy. Most people would have reacted, you know, very, very badly to it. But he has more control over his emotions than most people in this community. I can tell you that much.
Alrighty, guys. I'm gonna probably be shutting it down now. If
Why?
anybody does want to hang out backstage, I can't really hang out for very long at all, but I can probably do like a quick little 5-minute wrap up backstage. I've got a longer outro this time. Mod helped me make a new outro that's a bit longer, so if anybody needs to go and grab a snack or go and have a quick stretch or something like that, go do it. I'm going to play the outro, and if you aren't hanging around afterward, thank you very much for watching the show, and have a good one, everybody.